switch to our broken political system. Politics isn't working for anyone. Tonight on Leading Out Loud, we're pushing past politics loud.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff. And you can thank me for covering your Astro.
Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's woo and wisdom. I'm step astrologer and channel Sensei Chris Witecki.
And I'm David Palmer, the Leo King.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with scottcruzpm.com. How you guys doing? How's your week been this week?
It was tough.
Anybody go?
Yeah, this is a tough week. We're in a shit show, really. I mean, of astrology will tell you that. I mean, but there's a lot of things changing. In the big picture, I think what's changing is that a life is dying. The life that we were trying to survive. See, words aren't working, but the life of fight or flight, I think is really dying. Like I am here on this microphone right now. No, ultimately we have an ego change in Aries. Aries is always tough because it's where you are strong or where you are not strong. And that itself is being redefined. What strength is being redefined. I mean, how would you put it, David?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's feeling like a really big sandstorm and the sand's getting in between your eyes and you have to keep walking forward and it's hot.
Yeah.
But so it's like we have the ability to move forward, but it's coming with very Saturn based stuff like Neptune.
Yeah.
There's confusion with Saturn structure, but with Mars coming into Aries here, it's now there's like going to be like this energy pushing us like even farther ahead into this. So I hope you have sand goggles on, you know. I don't know how you're feeling, Scott, energetically, like with the psychic vibes right now and what you're feeling energetically.
It's definitely swampy, you know. That's the best way I could say. It's like walking in the water, you know. And so, and I definitely feel, for me, you know, a lot of my realizations have been like, are you taking care of yourself? And it's like, no, I gotta keep going, like you all trying to go forward, and I feel something holding me back, and I feel like that holding back energy is like there's other things to take care of right now. And I think that now is a time of priority. And I think of what are your major priorities right now? And maybe perhaps we're making things that are not our priorities. And so I think it's putting that in gear right now, because I feel like by mid-April, things are going to like pick the fuck up for a lot of people. And so I think right now, get your shit in order. Not like you're passing away, but you know, get it in order as far as like your priorities. And so many of us, I know a lot of us have been spending so much time on things that are not really, that shouldn't be a priority, you know, mentality and, you know.
Yeah. From trying to win the race,
right, Dave?
Trying to win the race.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's been the issue of Mars and Pisces is this. We're cutting away so much that's really not going to align with us spiritually with this new life, this new world, but also it's a reaffirmation of who we are at the highest level now. So, you know, as we've been doing that, there's also been this background energy that's cutting away. I think this is the biggest cut we've ever felt spiritually of things that are not in alignment. You have to surrender to and just let it happen. And that's a weird experience to be building the new front door that you're holding open while you're closing the back door at the same time, you know, but that back door is closing here this week. And I think it's going to be like,
that's what he said.
Have good energy.
It's for the better. It's just hard to believe it, you know. And you have to let go of a lot of the things that have been, you know, your teddy bears the whole time. And many of those, you know, things that are teddy bears are actually you coping with issues, with problems, with shadow. You know, we've been holding on to things that were coping devices for other problems. And so those old problems are coming to a close, but we don't have anything new to hold on to. So it's this really weird in-between moment. And, you know, I just think you're right, Scott. It's about priorities. This is Aries energy, which is step 9. Step 9 is when you take action, you go. And when it comes to taking action, you can only do so many things at once. You're forced to prioritize at that point. You can only run so many, you know, ships to the moon. You can only do so many things. You're limited when it comes to action. So it forces you to choose what's important and what's not, you know. So you have that funnel.
Yeah. But the thing too is like, we're talking about this and we're making some jokes about it, but like that's releasing the crutches, right? Because there's a lot of people that made priorities of things that, even though they know it should have been, it was something that made them feel valuable, was something that made them felt secure for some reason. And I see a lot of people who've been giving Christopher, and they are starting to realize, I gave so much, I'm kind of left with nothing now. I've been burnt, and so I made other people a priority, and so now I just make myself a priority. And so and I was making reads for the Taurus energies, Christopher, and it's really an identity shift this year for y'all, and really come to understand what's important, and really focusing on yourself. It's huge for Taurus this year.
Thanks for telling me. No, I would say it's down to nothing, but I think that's because Taurus need to burn it down to the ground. Aries is Taurus's actual our confidence, our faith. Our faith is Aries. So we come to the planet already with faith locked in and ego. Like, this is our faith, and that's what it is. And it's like I always say, a bull in a rowboat. It's very uncomfortable to be changing a rock solid faith when you're still trying to produce and manifest. So it's quite a trick. But I think what's going to happen is Tauruses are going to pull out. I mean, we're pulling out of a lot of investments, and we've been financing a lot of things, and people underestimate what we were doing for them. But we're all kind of now having to streamline and cut off the things that didn't have a return.
Yeah, and I think that's where Uranus being at the last degree of Taurus, we saw Uranus come in May 15th, 2018. Here we are in beginning April of 2026. And so almost 8 years now of dealing with Uranus and Taurus. And so when it comes to holding your standard, holding your values, there's another test. You have to raise the bar to the highest that you've ever done before. And that, I think, teams well with Mars seeing the sextile to Uranus right now, is that in order for things to actually move forward, you have to know who you are and define it, but then you got to know how to hold that energy and also surrender to the things that aren't going to be going with that higher vibe now of your values. And so I think this is a really important time, because there is this instability around when it comes to like holding your value, knowing that value. And also Uranus and Taurus, it makes the world, it makes the physical reality feel unstable, and you have to get used to it. You have to like realize, hey, I'm okay because I understand my values and I know how to love the things in my life that I value the most. And you can't be so afraid of it being lost. Right now, whatever's being taken out of your life is definitely a blessing.
And I think, like you said, the unstable energy is actually a blessing, because it's saying nothing's permanent, right? And so that's a good thing. That means the unknown is obviously not permanent, right? And so I think a lot of people are having that challenge of really understanding their true spiritual sovereignty. That's the thing for Leos, David, is the spiritual sovereignty. You guys have been really focusing on how it was like to be the humanitarian, the beginning of the age of Aquarius, and come together with community, and now you're starting to recognize, how can I now be my sovereign self without leading, without being amongst other people? So I think this is a wonderful breakthrough for Leos as well, David. So this is wonderful spiritual sovereignty for you as well. I think we're all kind of in that position right now of finding that sovereignty of the soul. And that means that sovereignty is we're pushing away all those shitty beliefs. It took me so many years to purge the Christian ideology out of my subconscious. Years of guilt and punishment. And it wasn't until like 2 years I finally nipped it all in the butt. And we all have that underlining with our previous incarnations too. And so I think we're breaking that this year. That's the innovation for 2026 that I'm so excited about. So both you guys are having that windstorm, but oh my God, you guys have so much beyond this year of a huge change for both y'all. So I'm excited for your changes.
Well, Tauruses have Aquarius in the 10th house, so we will own the age of Aquarius.
Well, I don't know about that.
We'll build it. Aries will we'll actually run it. It's kind of interesting to see. Virgos keep it alive within the 6 houses, and Leos marry it. So Leos now marry the royalty, the Aquariuses in the 7th house, because everyone has Aquarius somewhere. So it's interesting how each of the signs takes a role in the age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's where there's a lot of ping-ponging going, because what we've been seeing for year after year over the last 6 years is all the planets within just less than 180 degrees. That's what started in 2020 with all these big planets all just so close together. Now we're starting to see them break apart.
Yeah.
And so now it's not just like feeling like we're condensed in this one little thing, even though the world will make you feel that way right now. That's actually not the truth, right? Like the truth is that your life's opening up now. But it really is, though, with all this Aries reminding you that you do have to pick a path. That doesn't mean you don't have a lot of options. It just doesn't mean you can't have 15 things going on. You have to like pick the path and dedicate yourself to the path. And then there's lots of options on that path. But if you're going to try and do 15 quests right now that are all different, that don't make sense and don't align with the self, that's where I think people are getting lost, is they're trying to like, well, I want to do that and I want to do this and I want to do that. And it's like, well, where's the central hub of who you are? It's going to work if it all enmeshes in the right way, you know?
And Dave, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because what people don't understand is we form psychic connections with people. And so we've been with, and a lot of people are still feeding these connections unconsciously. And that unconscious connections that we have with people does create anxiety and does pull from our energetic sphere. And so I would say, you know, some people have to do the cord cutting bullshit. I'd say resolve the connections, resolve those relationships that you had, resolve the idea of why you went through that chapter, understand what that chapter is teaching you now, so that you can actually close down the psychic connection, but still think about it and process it in a way that's where it's a notch on your belt. So many people want to forget about their past. I've been very vocal about embracing the past this month, because that's defining you now. And so we don't want to run away from it. We don't want to cord cut it. We want to stop feeding it. And so we can actually move forward in the future and understand what connections do we have open? What connections are we still feeding unconsciously that we haven't fully evolved from? You know, and that goes that you're saying before about like finding the hub, you know, find the source of you, you know, so.
I love that, because that's definitely where right now I feel it's not about cutting it off completely, but with Pluto and Aquarius, you do have to find the new version of whatever that relationship might be, whether it's a job, a person, and have at least like this, like, okay, like that stuff's all done, but you know, there's still a connection in this way. And I don't have to like think about that energy anymore being like putting so much resource to it. Where I don't need it, you know? And that's going to come in handy in the months ahead when we finally see, like in just weeks, we're going to see Uranus coming to Gemini, but we're going to see Uranus and Gemini trine Pluto this year into next year. And this is what everybody in the 60s was waiting for during their conjunction in the mid 60s, because this is really where, you know, that's going to be the most important thing that you just brought out, is like, if your energy is all over the place and really like dribbling just so much out to every single place without having that understood, it's like tightening it up and cleaning the energy, and to make it more efficient too. It's like spiritually efficient.
Yep.
I think the reason why we had so many things going is because we were coming to the end and it was getting boring. You know, we just kept adding on more topics. That's honestly true. I mean, you know, we're coming to the end, and as you come to the end, you try to occupy yourself with more interesting things, and there's just not enough. Everything was shallow. Everything was so damn shallow. They had to have 20 puddles. You know, they have something of a bath kind of thing. But I think what will happen now is we're going to go so deep. I mean, we're going so deep. Just AI is a good example of how that is. But just looking at like where I see astrology going, where I see step astrology going, as I go down the rabbit hole, it's like I don't know where it ends. There's so much to uncover, so much to map about the fifth dimension and ascending to that dimension and what that means. I think that we're going to be our minds are going to be blown from this point on. So I had a real break when Uranus went to Gemini. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It felt so good. And so I'm waiting for that bitch to get out of my sign any second now. I think is it 29? Yeah, it's at 29.
It's 29.
Yeah, it's multidimensional right now. It is definitely broadcasting on all floors. And then it will be at 29 at the same time the sun will be at 29 Aries. Yeah. And there'll be like 3 planets at 7 at the same time. There's a magical window at step 29. Like something happens that day, something pretty profound. And like this, you know, the orbs are really fascinating. So there's like 5 planets at 7 at that same moment. So it's interesting, the moon including. So something's going on that final day. I think that day we hop ship. Maybe there's some sort of dimensional shift on that day, actually, on the 19th. So we'll have to see. We'll have to talk about it after it happens to see what we felt.
Yeah, I mean, I think. I'll go on.
No, I was just concurring.
You feeling psychically? I've been feeling weird burps. I was feeling a date coming up, and then it turned out to be, I think, just my date. So sometimes that's the case. As a mystic, you're like, I feel something coming. It's like, it's for you. It's not for the world. But I do feel some sort of a weird giddy up. I mean, this Mars in Aries is going to speed things up. And what I have felt from the beginning about this time is that things just like a bat out of hell go flying out. And it was after this. I mean, the wars started before this. So I was like, oh, I would have thought the wars would have been the bat out of hell. but I think there's energetically something that's going to speed up. I mean, do you guys pick up something like that, an event or
Oh
something?
yeah, I mean, to me, it's really this Mars and Aries is going to get a lot of things going, but it's the Uranus Gemini in the weeks ahead on the 26th of April, and that's right after that new moon that we're going to have at the end, or it's right with the new moon that's going to be happening in Aries at the end. That's the point to where I look at Uranus and Gemini like a supercharger, like on top of a motor, because it's bringing it's like force induction air into the cylinders and let's just force air and fuel in. And there's definitely that energy coming. And so I think right now, some people might think nothing's happening. It's going to be all happening so fast. I think definitely the war thing is not going away, but I think that there's really positive things for humanity and for us to really get out of these like kind of like where we feel like we're stuck when we're actually the most free we've ever been. And I think that's going to be the big thing to focus on.
Yeah, and I think people also need to be aware that we should not be deluded by movement so much, because a lot of times we might not be physically moving, but we're moving so much in our minds, in our soul, in our spirit, and compartmentalizing things and moving things around. And there needs to be time and space for that too before we press play and things start tangibly moving. So right now, I've been telling people, like we were saying before, about priority, organize things in your brain, your subconscious, and your soul, right? Because when things pick up, you want to make sure you're not going to be in a tunnel whirlwind of what the fuck, because that can be very chaotic for some. And so, yeah, we're exciting times. But we're also, what I've noticed more so now is that we're all collectively going through the same stuff. Different expressions, but we're all collectively getting sick. We're all collectively realizing a lot more. We're all collectively being in tune. So I'm noticing more of a collective thread in our collective consciousness right now, that where it's actually demonstrating how much we actually are on the same page right now than we've ever been in history, I would say. And that's just going to continue getting better. But I think those of us who are evolved and evolving, we have to wait and kind of take the time for those who are catching up and so forth and help and assist. And so, yeah, there's going to be, I mean, we've been doing a major purge for the past 6 years, guys. So it's like, it's always going to be very challenging and very dynamical, I
have a sense people are going to stay. Some people just stay on the farmland, and they just will not, budge, and will be living side by side with people who just don't evolve. I think that's what happens. Like 1900, you said, David, that, like the jet engine, injecting fuel into the engine. I mean, like the jet was literally invented when Uranus was in Gemini. I agree. We're going to probably have a propulsion system. I bet a new propulsion system coming out.
V2 rocket, yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably have something like that coming out. And I've seen Geminis actually flipping out the last couple of weeks, where they're like, I'm literally saying to me, "You're blowing my mind," and I'm like, "No, your mind was locked down, dude." You were thinking in these like loops, because Geminis kind of think horizontally, and they're very brilliant horizontalists, But now Uranus is going, nope, there's vertical too, and you can switch between horizontals, and they're like, oh my god. So they're up for a real. It's interesting to watch them, because they're all. I think Gemini is more brilliant than they've ever been. Frankly, I think humans are more intelligent than they've ever been. So it's not like they're behind, but they, in all their intelligence, you're about to see them discover more than they didn't know they had.
Yeah, and I think with Uranus Gemini, it's kind of interesting to bring up the Nazis, because their technology was far superior than anybody in the world. They actually created the first supercomputer as well during Uranus and Gemini. Most people don't know. You can look it up. But they had a computer. There's also evidence that they created what we know as the flying saucer today, right? Like the Nazis, right? But it's kind of weird that it's a time to where even if you have the best technology and you're using it, you fail. And I think that's what's kind of the weird part about it, is you don't need to be so afraid, because, it's like, none of that was successful for Germany, and that's why America created Operation Paperclip and stole, and same thing with the USSR, all their scientists to bring them to their countries, and now they play out in those two countries. I mean, if you think about Russia and the United States today, the two superpowers dealing with nuclear bombs and dealing with technology for military, it's all because of the Nazi people that were taken during the Uranus Gemini moments of their technology.
And Eisenhower was smart, man. He went he erased the troops in for, they're all racing from Moscow, because they were all racing for the last resources they could steal. And pretty much Russia and the United States split up the scientists, and that was it. It literally split up Berlin, in two pieces too. It's really interesting to think about that. But here we are,
and that could happen with what we're seeing with Iran, or even with Ukraine, because Ukraine is something that still hasn't been figured out. And that looks like a two, like separating, almost like how Berlin was the East and the West. And that's kind of what the proposals have been. So it's interesting that all the training for this crazy technology since 2022 has been happening in Ukraine with America, the West, NATO. They've been all using all that kind of weird stuff in Ukraine, war against Russia. And then now it's like, let's just use it here in Iran. Like, it's really weird.
Jews were rescued, and then they made Jerusalem out of nothing. They just decided, we're going to make a country here called Jerusalem. They make Jerusalem at the end of that war, and here we are at this war, and now it's Jerusalem that's the aggressor against, I'm saying? It's funny. And they're the ones making the technology, frankly. They have all the genius, from what I understand, all the hack technology and all the technology of like the web and stuff.
The pagers. Be careful, the crutches too that they got.
Yeah, huh? It's interesting. Times roll on. Is it time? Speaking of that, should we go to the headlines?
Yeah.
We shall. Actually, the first one we have is a high school student invents a filter that eliminates 96% of microplastics from drinking water. System uses ferrofluid, a magnetic liquid. Water flows through the device. The ferrofluid binds to microplastic particles. Then a magnet then pulls the ferrofluid with attached microplastics out of the water stream, which is interesting. So, it's great and all, but my thing is like, wouldn't it just be easier if the corporations stopped producing things in so much plastic? It's always us to try to figure out how to do the recycling thing. And I remember in the grocery stores, paper, plastic. It's like, I'll take paper, but all your groceries is bagged in plastic shit. So, I really think we should start enforcing corporations to put things in paper and back into glass, and it'd be a lot easier. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to be doing all these discoveries, so it's great, but I think that corporations are the ones responsible.
I agree. I think it's Rockefeller. Goddamn Rockefeller again.
Goddamn Rockefeller.
It was Rockefeller. It was. He's the one that pushed all oil and all this stuff. He pushed oil into medicine. He pushed oil into all this stuff. It was him, the Rockefeller. But and as a result, now we're going crazy with it. I take out the garbage now. I can't fit my garbage in my garbage because I have so much plastic. There's like containers that I can't really squish because they pop back up, and everything you buy in the store is in plastic. I mean, we're eating plastic all the time, so it's a problem. It's a real problem.
It is a problem.
Yeah.
I was going to say that, like, one of the biggest issues with microplastic is in reproductive for male and female.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And so we're seeing the biggest decline right now in the Western countries about birth rates, and we're the ones using all the plastic. So I think this is the right step to start. And at least, you know what? You got to give credit to these younger kids coming up with this kind of stuff. But I think you're right. Like, it can't just be this, right? That's not going to do enough. It's everywhere. And I think that's going to be where we have to really start thinking, like, it also, for men, especially men who are on a lot of microplastics, it takes their testosterone to the lowest level.
Low.
Is that the problem?
Yeah. And for females, it messes with their estrogen, and it messes at the same time, like bringing them to not want to really step into their feminine energy. So I think it's really probably one of the more important things happening, because I know we like to look at what's the problem, like kind of out there that's like being told to us, but the real issues are the ones that are happening in front of us. Yeah, all the time.
It's globalism. Guys. It's globalism. It's the fact that they want to have globalism. They want to have planets. Planets over here. Plants over here in like low cost countries. They want to fly it out on gas and fuel and put it over here. They have to put it in plastic so it stays safe. Because there's men who want to run the whole world instead of just letting it happen locally. That's the real issue. It's globalism.
But we're going to a cocktail of shit. So the plastic, the petroleum, the metals that are coming from the chemtrails. I mean, it's everywhere. We're in a cocktail of shit. And so, I mean, I'm glad people are being focused more on these things too. But we have to find ways to combat that. I always say, it's really good right now, especially with this horrible air quality we've all been having. Just take quercetin every week, with vitamin D and zinc. Like, take that to combat the metals to build up your immune system. And we're also being tackled by the gut too. Our gut is a core of our health. People think it's your immune system, like the gut. And so we're getting tackled with stripping nutrients from our gut. Right. And so we're being like filled with this cocktail of crap that we need to be very aware of with our health. And that also affects our cognitive functions too. Depression. Right. Yeah. And so we have to be aware of all these different avenues that we're getting infiltrated by these toxins and how to really purge and combat that. And
I think it's hard. It's hard because all these people that make plastics everywhere, but it's like these old people from back in the day love their silly putty and their Play-Doh so much because it's so easy to make plastic and just instead of actually real things. Like, And that's what's difficult is if you think everything, whether it's a speaker, I mean, I'm just like looking around, it's like everything's plastic, right? You can look around wherever you're at right now, you have plastic somewhere right next to you.
Everywhere.
And that's the problem, is that every factory is retrofitted for plastics. And then it's so funny that when they make all this crude oil and then they actually turn it into, whether it's fuel or they turn it into diesel, a lot of it is turned into the plastics, right?
Most
And
of it.
so like it's like 30% of what they do when those rods, when they're, so it's like we've built the whole entire thing around oil, not just for our cars, not just for diesel, not for, it's literally to make everything. And I swear it's like we live in a weird pedo PDF world, and they love silly putty, and they made that into plastic, and they can't get over it. It's like, and they like shiny. That's what's sad, especially having kids. Like you have to think about that stuff. So with my little ones, it's like, you know, we do the
even
best
rubber,
we can, you know,
even rubber toys aren't rubber anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
it's like a polyurethane, which people are wearing as clothes, which is just as bad too. It's a microplastic as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Lego.
Sheen.
Next headline, I think.
Oh yeah, and so so U.S. and Israel declare a 2-week ceasefire in Iran. Well, U.S. I think did. Key condition: Iran must immediately and safely reopen the Strait of Hormuz, critical for global oil shipments, and stop attacks on the U.S., Israel, and regional countries. I don't know. The whole 2 weeks thing is more of, I think, Trump kind of taking a step back. Anytime Trump says 2 weeks, we're going to forget about it. So that 2-week kind of demand seems a little rare, but. I don't sense this is going to be resolved in 2 weeks. Iran has been pushing back, obviously, and kind of mocking our administration. So I don't think it's going to be over in 2 weeks. I think they're not going to relent on this as far as the opening of Strait of Hormuz. I think this is go on way beyond the 2 week time frame. So, you know,
and you should not trust the 2 weeks because this is war. We never tell the truth. I mean, look at any war and study the history. They were never putting out the truth. There was always a smoke screen to trick him to this and trick him to that. In fact, trickery is like one of the biggest things they did in World War II, was trying to trick Hitler and where troops were and they weren't. So I wouldn't trust any headline or any timeline personally. But I also think you're right. I think you think this is gonna be over. This is a Vietnam, and this is not gonna be, these people will not stop fighting. All their culture is based on it is staying alive and surviving. You know, so if you look at their step numbers and stuff too, it's all based on survival. So you're not going to squash a country that's based on survival. They're just
and we pissed off so many other countries. So it's not just going to be like, okay, because so many other countries have been pissed off. Like we pissed off NATO. Like there's so many things that we've disrupted that there's going to be a lot that we're going to have to do to rebuild these relationships, you know, moving forward. So, you know, and I honestly feel, I've said this before, in 2024, I don't feel like this administration will fill its full term. You know, something will interrupt it or be a removal of that process. So this might be the thing that really initiates that. You know, but again, we're still not talking about the Epstein files. We're still not diving deep into the Epstein files, even still. You know, so
yeah, even though it's ironic that Iran is right, they actually put that out even in the statement yesterday. And the 10-point plan that Iran put out is all stuff we would never agree to. So to me, I think this was part of the setup to make American people like get on board with the war more, because if you think about it, it's like the ceasefire was declared, but then Israel said they were on board and there were still missiles going off, but then Israel really just attacked Lebanon all day. And they're not right. And so what's happened now? And now it's like nothing's really going. And then Iran stopped the Strait of Hormuz today. Right. So the markets rallied again. It's like this. And so Trump does this every time now. It's like very predictable. It was like very predictable to be like, he's not going to blow them up. He's going to just say, no, another 2 weeks, another something. Then the markets all rally, but then they all get fooled because everything's closed off. Iran is in control of it now, which never happened before. And now you have Israel not following it. And I feel like that's almost part of the plan, to just be like, oh, well, look at Iran. Look at, they said that they were doing the right thing, but really they're not. And then now we go in, you know, it's like, so to me, with Mars coming into Aries and all this Aries, there is no way that there is any diplomacy, because it's all opposite of Libra. It is the opposite. It is war. And we just have to call it spade, just like it for real. And even just the fact that Mercury was squaring Trump's eclipse sun and moon, right? Like right now. Or yesterday, I follow Cards of Destiny was an Ace of Spades day, which is secrets and so forth. It's like, this is definitely a moment for us to go, don't buy any of that. The false flag already is happening that there's a ceasefire. You know?
Yep, I agree.
It's really, was there ever diplomacy? I think it's been a game from the beginning. This has all been an act on TV. It's never been real. Even the Nuremberg trials were really for TV. You know, I think at the end of the day, we've been faking it the whole time. Maybe what'll be refreshing is that we have the truth out there, that we'll actually look at what's happening, because we don't really know. And I still say that most of this is, you know, orchestrated by economics, the World Bank setting, you know, I think there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes, just like, you know, Henry Ford was a big contributor to Hitler, right? And so was a lot of technology. IBM contributed to Hitler. They made adding machines for Hitler. It's not as cut and dry as we want to think.
Sure. Well, you know, but everybody's eyes are glued though now. And I think that's the most important thing, that people are starting to see and put the pieces together. Like I was saying, like last week, they're still using the same tactics, but we're kind of discover those old tactics. So I think as a species, I think we're able to now shift where things are going with our, you know, perspective, with our control and our voices, because we're connected now on a global scale. Like I'm surprised how much I can see what other people are doing in other countries and how similar we all are. So I think that helps with our species to shift things. And we're starting to realize, we thought it was people screwing it up, that minorities are screwing it up. And we realize, no, we're all seeing the same group of people who are in charge that are screwing it up. And people are starting to disassociate civilizations with their leaders now, because before we just lump in the civilization with the leaders. And so we're starting to see that positive separation now. So I just think it's actually working in our favor in the long run, you know, all this conflict. And yeah, you're right, Christopher. We had the illusion of diplomacy, you know, never really truly had that. You know, we were fed to kind of the lie that things are safe. Everything's great.
The one who smelt it dealt it, guys. You know, the one who smelt it dealt it. Like it's the one who says that we don't have this is the one who's actually doing it. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I just checked. They're now saying that Iran is. I just checked, like breaking news. Like Iran saying that that there's many infractions to this deal that are happening. And then, of course, it's the day that the oil plunges. The Dow sees its best day in a year, right? But then that's a con job, because then it's going to all turn the other way, and it's actually going to be worse, right? So it's like people are just trying to squeeze as much as they can in these markets that are in these positions, like you were just saying, Scott, like that are these old PDFs that just know how to just, like, it's sad because so many people get fooled by it still. I'm like,
yeah.
I do get the feeling there's a miracle invention coming. I don't know if you guys get this. I'm put out there I think there's a miracle invention coming. I think I said it last week too. It might be free energy. I mean, we've invented it. We just killed the inventors and put it on a shelf.
Yeah,
so I know it exists already. But I just get this sense that there's going to be some miracle invention that's going to just basically re-level some of this, like almost faded. If it hadn't happened, this wouldn't have happened. Almost like a God thing. People say if it came from God. Do you guys get any feeling like that?
Yeah, I think it definitely, because of Pluto even being in Aquarius with the big outer planets on alignment, it could be something like hydro water-based energy to fusion, of course, but like, yeah, something technological, energy-wise, also something that brings us all together in an easier way. The universe is really putting everything in, it's put its bet and all of its chips on us as humanity coming together, believe it or not. That's the most ironic part, is that
planets are
God has fully, the universe is fully bet on us coming together. That's what the astrology says. Like, it's put no other bets anywhere else. That's the bet.
Yeah. Time and again. I've never had the planets in my lifetime destroy us. It's always been bring us together. It has, those aspects do exist. They haven't been doing it. It's all been come together. Just like last year, we had like 5 planets at step 1 for like 4 months. Step 1 is self-love. Like we've never seen in astrology. We went back. We've never seen astrology where planets are saying self-love, self-love, self-love for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's like, it's almost dead obvious, you know. It's
but I agree. I agree too with with David, that there definitely is something hydro, you know, using water. As of course Tesla, you know, back in the day knew how to, you know, fuel cars off water, basically, you know. And I think that's coming. I think that we're noticing the greed with resource too. And why is it always kind of the Republicans always obsessed with the oil? You know, that's the money making thing, and the market manipulation with the Republicans is the oil. So, but I think people are starting to speculate what's with this oil greed, and I think people are going to want to demand other resources to be used, which I think will save the future in that sense as well. You know, so
why does Pepsi own all the water rights? Why does Pepsi own all the water rights in the world? You know, like that's odd. I mean, Pepsi owns a lot of the water rights. It's really funny. So they're up on the new energy already.
Well, there was actually an article this week about how water bottles are going to go up in price.
Oh, dear
And
Lord.
people are starting to hoard, ironically. So you're getting the same 2020 kind of. It's really interesting to see.
Preppers.
People are
Oh, yeah.
preppers.
But you know what? This kid that
like-
just invented this thing, this kid in this filter, like boom, we're having machines in our house. That's what it's gonna be. We're just pump dirty water in, it's come out clean. Something.
I know.
That's
I
gonna
don't
be the
want
solution.
microplastics in my sperm. Like fuck that.
Yeah,
Like
that's what she said.
right on,
All
bro.
right. Next headline.
Although that could be like, I don't know. They've never been able to really think of birth control for men. Just might be microplastics, right? Like, it might be. It's like, hey.
Well,
Are you-
Because
are you
honestly,
getting
if you get it snipped down there, it's like prostate cancer is like almost a yes.
really?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know that. That's crazy. Wow.
Yeah. Where's it?
I know, and the
you
birth
think
control,
cutting
same
it
thing,
off
so-
and then just having it just all stay in there forever is gonna.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
interesting. That's true, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That
So
makes
like a
sense if you
lot
think
of
about it.
the data over the last 25, 30 years
Wow.
of it.
Yeah.
It's like
wow.
if you hear someone with prostate cancer, it's like you snipped.
Oh my
Interesting.
God.
Usually, most of the time, people will be like, "Yeah, I am."
The
Like,
prostate
right?
is like,
So-
I don't want to live anymore. The prostate
Well, they
You can
yeah,
put it
they
back.
think-
What
he
happened
just
there?
said, "I don't want to live anymore." He
Went to
just
black. That
disappeared
was a
back.
good.
He's done.
But I was going
Right,
to say
that's
that
You can
it's
reverse
like
it,
if you
dude.
think
Like-
about it, they try to say, "Oh, the sperm just dies in there." It's like
No.
I think I'm a human
weren't-
design guy, right? So it's like you think of the sacral energy, right? Feminine or masculine, it's meant to regenerate. It's meant to get
Right.
out.
It's not supposed to die
Right?
there.
Like, it's supposed to come out. It's
Right.
not supposed to just stay in there forever.
You can't
Well,
just
it's
put a
also
funeral,
that's a disruption to natural order too, which of course that creates a
Correct.
lot of resistance energetically,
Ooh.
and that's going to just sit right there, right? And so, I agree, and we have a time frame. I said, what's so bad about letting come again? If you don't do anything with it, then it's just going to come out in a wet dream somehow. So it finds its way to purge it out, and so I mean, there's other ways to be making sure you're not reproducing than just snipping it. I wouldn't choose that as an option.
like when
personally.
you snip a male dog, it becomes a little beta dog. It doesn't, it doesn't start lifting its leg and peeing. Like, it really just
Yeah.
becomes like a little beta dog.
This is all.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
serious. So
Yeah,
you think
yeah.
with humans, it's gonna
Wow.
change? Like it's
Yeah.
not gonna. It's gonna be the same thing.
It's the Roman Catholic Church actually. That's why we're getting vasectomies, because we felt a sin to have sex without procreating, and so basically you want to be able to not procreate, and you want to be free of it, and you're afraid of having more kids, and that's what it comes down to. Where this fear of having more kids or whatever. Some families had huge kids, lots of kids, and some families didn't. Like it just kind of came down to, I think, the spiritual plan. Honestly, not necessarily.
It's just too
fertility,
much
but
altering with the body, removing the
Yeah.
tonsils, like, what I'm saying? There's just too
I'm
much
not-
altering of such,
That is
And
so
I
true.
always feel like the tonsils was like your built-in vaccination system. And I have allergies, but I understand
Yeah.
that when I get the allergies, the mucus is because I'm fighting some shit in the air, and so, but why are we pulling that out at a young age? Just because they're getting sick over that. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we remove things for no reason in the body. I feel like we're just cutting sources off of life, like we were talking about before. And I think that, like you said, David, that builds up a lot of resistance energy. And that can manifest
yeah.
in so many different other physical complications, and so,
Well, and especially I think
yeah.
men's health is going to be the big thing about Aries, right? We're switching into such an interesting time where we've been in all this earth and water, which is feminine, and it's been
Right.
great for the divine feminine to get its place over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
But now it's going to the masculine, so it's interesting. Men's health, like paying attention to these things, like a lot of men are not really being men anymore. Like they
no.
are
Well, why is
forgetting
this-
about it, and then I think
testosterone?
we're losing. Like I think the core of a man is honor. I think that's where we're losing honor. Men are just kind of like out. Like it's kind of sad when I go on Instagram now. All I see is just like these men. I don't even want to call them men, but they're fellow men, so I'll call them men. But they're just chasing whatever somebody else is doing. They're doing things without honor. They're looking for the quick, fast hit of something. And, it's like, I won't be surprised if like there's some Instagrammer that'll say, cut your nose hair all off, right? Like you need to do that next. And that'll be the cool new thing. And then get rid of that. It's like, what? Like that's
that-
a filtration system itself.
It's not honor, it's
But that's-
erections. We've lost erections. That's the problem. And for
But
some,
that's-
why have we, by the way? I mean, why have we lost erections? I mean, the erection pills
Yeah,
everywhere,
that
erection
was
ads
not
ads
normal.
everywhere.
That was
That was
not
not
normal.
What's that?
That was not normal. There was 80-year-olds making babies all the time in the old days.
I know that's what I'm saying. Why can men not, keep it up, and why are women not being able to carry children to birth? It's something new. That's something that needs to look at.
Well, it's to me, that's the whole psyop of here. We're supposed to be confused and not know where we're truly at. Let's look at even the rise of feminism, right? These tough and strong women. It's all out of balance with the divine feminine, divine masculine. I feel like our species trying to evolve and to understand that we both have the balance of divine feminine and divine masculine within us and how we fit in with that. So there's been a huge disruption, I would say, with I feel like there's been a huge narrative in psyops to make us all confused about who we are, what we are, and focusing on things that are not so important about who we are versus understanding, like embracing what we are and how to really evolve with that. So I just see that with this confusion with gender and all this stuff, and now gay people and trans people are the reasons. Well, it's just we've all been imbalanced with all these infiltrated ideas that I think throw us in confusion.
I agree.
Right? Because first,
Yeah.
a man's going to be a certain way, a female's going to be a certain way, then people resist that, then they go the other direction. So it's all these extremes that I feel like we've been placed upon our conscious in culture, which I feel is controlled and planned. And so the more they keep us confused of who we are, the more they succeed in being in control, right? And controlling our mind.
Yeah. It's human traits that we all have, and some categorize more into a feminine or more into a masculine, but we're all human, and they're all human traits, and some of us have more that would maybe go towards they're all just human traits. We're all humans. So it's like the idea that this is the only traits that you're allowed to have, and these are the only traits you're alled to have, is really
and that creates extremes. Yeah, it creates extremes, because then people are going to resist and want to go the other end of the spectrum, right? And be, if they're gay, well, I have to be feminine now in order so I can be defined as something, instead of just being a gay guy who's masculine.
Right? The feminist movement,
old
in the 70s to get girls to women to be able to work, go in the workplace, happened right when the gold standard was taken away. So the gold standard is taken away. Suddenly now you don't have a stable coin, right? And because you have a stable coin, now you're shrinking the economy. It takes 2 salaries to run the household. To some degree, it's suspicious that there's a big push for women to get in the workplace right when men are losing their salary. Is that a coincidence? That's
it was for taxes too, right? To get marriage is by the state, right? By their government. It's not by religion.
Right.
It's true.
It's for taxes, and they made it to where it was like, oh, this is great. But I was going to say that when it came to this identity issue, like if you go to old tribes, like one of my favorite astrologers, he's an African shaman from South Africa, white guy who went and trained, and he's amazing. Rod Suskin is his name. I've interviewed him. He's on my channel, but he has his own channel. He's great. But he says it best, like, in these African tribes, the ones that don't talk to outside world, don't have a TV that he's lived in, like if you are somebody, like, it doesn't matter if you're a man or woman. It's just like, okay, the person who we would think is maybe got some sort of physical ailment, like, they're, I don't know what, I'm not going to say the R word right now, but that we think they're that. Well, they put a broom in them, and then they have them broom the dirt around. Like the way that the African, natural humans work is, okay, if the woman is really good at hunting, then she hunts.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
Whoever's best for
it doesn't matter.
Okay, that dude can climb trees and get all the fruits. Okay, great,
go for it.
That woman is better at nursing all the baby, because that's what's crazy too, is women, like in tribes, like the elderly women who are past menopause somehow develop milk again to do the babies that are around, and so the mothers can go out and do other things. I'm not even kidding.
Yep.
No, it's true.
Yeah, I believe that.
So the way we live in this kind of bubble-less, like you have to be this way, is so actually the opposite of what we really are.
But that's to me, I blame American culture. I blame American culture for that, because American culture has been on the extremes. This is what a female looks like. This is what youth looks like. This is what toughness looks like. And so I really feel like right now what our consciousness is resisting that. And it's gone to the other extreme. And I feel like we're going to find the balance of that, because we're like the only culture, really, the American culture has infiltrated this kind of extremes when it comes to,
I don't know. You have to wear, women can't
identity.
even, but in the Arab countries, women can't even wear, be seen their face. I mean, I think every
in those countries, right,
gone a little bizarre with every culture has gone bizarre somehow, or binding their feet in China. Like, come on, you made your feet be
but religion.
Yeah,
But that's religion
Americans are
created that
religious
shit. So
too.
religion created that stuff in those Middle Eastern countries, just like there's Christianity and Catholicism. Christianism created the whole, imbalance with male-female relationships. Religion created that disease. That's not natural to us.
They say in Atlantis it was women that looked down at men, and that women ran the whole damn thing, and that they thought men were
Interesting.
just good for sex and moving big objects. Which I'm like, let's go
Yeah.
back there. Let's go back there. I'd love to, I'll take it. But apparently women were arrogant. So the irony is if that's true, if we find out that in fact this is full circle, that women were arrogant and then men became arrogant, and then whatever, maybe now both will not.
Swing of the
but women
pendulum.
frankly have a power that men don't have. Women can create. I mean, they are biologically better. They can procreate. They don't need us technically to go on, especially with modern technology and freezers. So
Yeah. Next
could
next topic is speaking of male female.
Yeah, moving on.
Exiled crown prince calls for Iran's armed forces to overthrow the Iranian regime. Reza Pahlavi, the exiled son of Iran's last Shah and a prominent opposition figure, issued a direct appeal to Iran's armed forces, military commanders, and police, urging them to defect and abandon the Islamic Republic. What do you guys think about that?
It's hard
Thoughts?
to get rid of martyrdom because you have to remember, especially in that version of, it's not Arabs, they're Persians and they are Shia, right? And they are much more about the connection to the bloodline of Muhammad. Whereas Shiite is much more like, no, we don't need to have anybody that's like kind of like a pope, right? So you have to look at Iran as like the Catholic Church, right? It's like the people there look at whoever's the Ayatollah as the supreme leader of deep connections with blood to Muhammad.
Yeah.
And then the martyrdom, like, I will die for Allah, right? Like, so that's the problem, is that it always comes back to the religion.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, in America, I want to laugh because, you think of the American, like, pro-America person, and they're so against all these things. But if you look at the founding fathers, they wore wigs and tight pants.
That's true.
Thank you.
Yeah, and blush.
Which I just find it hilarious because it's like, yeah, they praise that, but then it's kind of like, have they ever asked that deeper question? Like, they were all Masons, right? Not all of them, but like the ones that matter.
Predominantly. Yeah,
The
predominant
ones that actually
Masons.
matter. The ones that we hear the
Right.
names of were Masons. All the other names on the Declaration of Independence, you don't know who they are.
Right, exactly.
Those are the secret schools. So I mean, then the Masons were not what they are today, or allegedly are today. I feel like they were the secret sciences that were go back to Atlantis, that lived in the veins of the Masons, the stonecutters through Egypt. These had all the secrets to metaphysics. Really, they held the secrets to metaphysics for a long time. And then I think that I don't know when it happened, but it seems like somewhere between Lincoln and FDR, somewhere between Lincoln and FDR, things got shifty, man, and we started losing control of those things. It was actually Rockefeller, I think, it came out. So once Rockefeller was on the scene, things started to get corrupted. These societies, and then we started looking at these societies at the bad part, but they weren't in the beginning. They were the ones holding the truth.
I think
But,
that comes
yeah,
with
but
evolution, though. Like in technology and stuff, it just society shifts when we shift dramatically into the future more, and then we all have to kind of like we go too far, and then we kind of assess and come back.
Yeah, Democrats are slave owners.
Oh yeah, I mean, Southern Democrats, and they actually did it for Christ. It was all Christ based. So most people forget about that, but like General E. Lee in his diaries was like, "Hey, I'm doing this, and I'm going to join the South because the slaves are better off as slaves, and because we give them a better life as good Christian men." Like,
no, some of you.
Well, it's like a lot of those, even the Muslims will like suicide bomb in the name of Allah. I mean, they're always using some sort of religious excuse to perpetuate these things. And I think that this is something I think we're collectively starting to recognize and break out of. But the next we have Congressman Tim Burchett makes bold claims about extraterrestrial life. Yes, says a high-ranking official of the U.S. government told him extraterrestrial beings have visited Earth, traveling in otherworldly craft, and these beings have made direct contact with humans. I mean, duh. This has been going on for a while. I mean, didn't they have some sort of a system to where they could identify foreign objects back in 2012, to defend against extraterrestrial craft or life force UFOs, whatever. They had a program for that to identify this. They have videos stating this. So we've been on the lookout for quite some time. So I think that it's interesting how they're starting to like push this in our faces a little bit more as a deterrent, I feel like as well. But I also feel like in the future, they're somehow going to blame the extraterrestrial life force for a lot of what the humans have been doing. I feel like there's going to be a flip, put blame there to worry about, not so much, us. I feel like.
I think it's Dr. Stephen Greer says he followed his stuff. We had reverse engineered the UFO like in 1960. We've been flying that thing since
Early
like
1900s.
Yeah. No, I mean 1960. Like it's the first
Yep,
one went down.
early
like,
1900s.
we were already flying.
Yeah.
Apparently, we have a secret space program. Apparently,
What was that name of that program?
we should get what's his face on. What's his face? We'll have to get who did that series on the secret space program? It was you know what I'm talking about, David? No. It was a blonde guy. Flighty, him and this one guy in a small room, like in a Stark room, and on Gaia TV, we talk about the secret space program. We'll get that commercial.
History Channel?
No. It was on Gaia. We'll figure it out.
Gaia.
Well, yeah, I'm best friends with Jimmy Church, who's taken over now, but it was how did I forget his name?
I'm forgetting names too lately.
Murphy Pisces.
By the way, the program I was talking about was the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, where they were actually able to, being aware of these UFOs coming to our space. So they had a program back in 2017. They were chasing this and measuring this. So, and again, we were all tinfoil hats wearing conspiracy theorists talking about it.
When the aliens come, they're going to say one thing: "We've been working with your government forever."
David Wilcox, yes. David Wilcox. I'm going to put it in the chat.
David Wilcox, thank you. There's your free plug, David.
There it is.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're going to take a break. We'll be right back after this, folks.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
That was lovely. Yeah. Part of our secret science backstage, right? Well, now it's time to talk about what the show's about this week.
We have a topic?
We do have a topic.
Well, I mean, I think we were still talking about the alien.
Oh, we want to pick up with that? Yeah, we can.
I think it was interesting because it was broken by a live interview on TMZ. That's a first, okay? Right? Yeah. So, and by the way, who's in the Epstein files, right?
Who is? Yeah.
Whatever his name, that's on TMZ, the owner of it.
Oh, really? That guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would use him to get things out.
Got you. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know why I can't remember a person's name today, but it is.
Harvey Levin.
Yeah, Harvey Levin. Yeah.
Harvey
so
Levin.
Anyway, but Tim Burchett said it
Levin.
because Matt Gaetz came out and said it last week, and I've actually met Matt Gaetz in person.
Yeah,
I trust him a lot.
I do too.
And I gotta say that this is what he also said, Tim, on the show, that they went to a base with Paulina Luna, with Matt Gaetz and him. They weren't allowed to go see things, and then Matt called Trump and got the right things, and then they went in and they saw things. Wow. Then there was a private congressional hearing where one of these alien style entities came and talked with people in Congress. So it's getting it's getting so close to that. Then if you think about the war stuff, the meteors, the weird technology stuff, the orbs that are showing up everywhere right now, this thing is about pop. Whether it's Project Bluebeam or not, that's going to be, I think, where we have to discern. Is this trying to? I feel like we're going to know because it's going to try and serve some agenda for religions, see it, and everybody's going to claim that no, that's Muhammad, no, that's Jesus, no, that's
Mm.
the Elohim, right? And
Yeah.
that's where everybody's getting all giddy in the religious communities about it.
Right.
Hmm.
Well, I think too. I mean, this is the reason why I think they're releasing a lot of this stuff is because we're actually close to contact. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
So they have to prepare somehow because I do believe probably within might be think before 2030 there'll be some direct contact and communication with extraterrestrials, and so they're gonna have to somehow prepare for us because then we're gonna say, why didn't you tell us about it? And we'll blame our government. So I think that's what it's evidence of for me is that direct contact is right around the corner. Actually,
I think the big secret is,
yeah.
is hybridization. We've been hybriding. We've been making humans. The reason why we can do clones of Hillary Clinton is because the alien technology allowed us to do it. They were the ones that have messed with the DNA the whole time. So I think what we're going to find out is that a lot of people walking among us right now are actually hybrids. And that's why they're so weird. There's a lot of weird people out there, and I was like, that must be a hybrid.
Well, I mean, it's true. Uranus at 29 Taurus hits the seven sisters into zero Gemini. That's what they said. And so that's if you've read any of the Palladian channelings or like Bringers of the Dawn, which is probably the Bible of Palladian channelings, it's all about our DNA and the activation of our DNA.
Yes.
And if you really think about it, like the spiritual version, not the crazy chop shop version that they're playing with of doing hybrid stuff in the physical form, is activating our 12-strand DNA to reawaken to who we actually are as the species of like true light beings that we are. And I think that that's where they're manipulating and trying to cut off us from the Great Awakening, that like, and the activation of our DNA, right? Like they're messing with the DNA and are hybriding in order to stop ascension, right? Stop the populace from actually waking up. And this is what the Palladians warned about. And she wrote that book and channeled that thing at the end of the 80s into the beginning of the 90s. And she's been dead on. And she was actually, she's an astrologer.
That's why I've been sus about Bashar. I was like, okay, so Bashar, okay, so this is a gray alien from the future that is you. This is where we ended up. And now you're back on our planet stealing our DNA because you can't reproduce anymore. Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, there's something weird about that, And if we did it, they succeeded, apparently. I mean, if that's the case, Bashar is there's a gray alien in the future that lost the ability to procreate, then it happened, David. We actually cut off the ability to create. We cut off those chromosomes. It happened.
Well, and maybe he's a hybrid with like a frog. Like, and
Well,
I think that's
look
what
at
Alex
the code,
Jones.
too.
Alex Jones is the one who broke it a decade ago, right? About the alien human hybrids, right? That was
Reptilian.
actually the beginning of the programs, which that's the whole idea of Jurassic Park, right? Like using the frog DNA to kind of cross that barrier with the mosquito DNA. And I think that's where they've tinkered around with some. I think that's the kind of like stuff Tim says would keep you up for you wouldn't sleep if you knew what was really going on with the alien stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's more of just like this horrible chop shop of just weird situations going on, and that they're playing and they're trying to understand things, and there's maybe ancient things that was left here. And I think that the aliens that are the good aliens, the high dimensional beings, they'll contact you directly.
Yeah.
Like, you don't
Yeah,
need to go
channels.
wait for the government to put it on a website to be like, oh, okay, here's the aliens.
No, they will. And I've come to
colonization.
realization too, when people think they've seen ghosts, I've actually come to terms there's interdimensional beings that do spy on our species too.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a ghost, not a demon. It's actually an interdimensional being that's spying and learning. And I think there's also, we're teaching a lot of extraterrestrials too. I always believe that every experience we've had in previous incarnations, all that data is stored in our DNA, and that we could evoke a lot of those past experiences or past talents from our past incarnations and breathe it into the present. And I think that fascinates a lot of those extraterrestrials, the human species. And so some want that, some want to learn from it, some want to help it. So yeah, there are different variables of those extraterrestrial connections. But you're right, they will come to you directly for sure. You have to be an open channel, of course, but they will come to you directly, not like, you're right, not on some website, not at some government, exposure,
Well, they're
That's
going to
what
land.
they did with COVID.
I know.
They'll land. I feel they're going to land. Like they'll be like, we'll have that in this lifetime. Yeah, it's not going to go. And actually, I think the planets and astrology. I think astrology is what
Coming out in
shapes that
crutches,
DNA.
like out of the bay doors, just like
Seriously,
Coming to get you, human. We're coming to get you.
came here for my AA bed.
there'll be one. Golly, there'll be that moment for every American, every
I was
Christian. I do think
traveling
we'll have
through the
that.
multiverse, and I just, I needed one of those AA beds right now. I was drunk saucering.
That's high tech. That's high tech.
Well, the other part that he brings up a lot, Tim, is about that there's so many underwater, right? Like
Oh, and underground.
these ships doing over 200 miles an hour underwater, right? And they're huge, and there's no technology. It's none of our governments, right? So that to me, if you just look at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, the newest pictures,
Yeah.
I'm like, that looks alien, right? Like everything underneath there looks alien. So and the idea of what looks alien is actually coming from ocean stuff. So if you think when they injected that into our consciousness through movies, they actually just took a script out of like the ocean. And then actually James Cameron, The Abyss, which is done in 88, is probably the best version of actually what it's really like, and the way that they are there to help us. And then that they look at Earth going, what are you guys doing? Right? Like when he gets taken down there and he survives, and those clips that he shows him about that, and then they bring him back up. It's pretty that movie actually I think is more of the good side of what it would really look like if it was real than this kind of like, more alien or Independence Day kind of look.
But yeah, I always
think
go
that's
back to
all
Egypt.
hype.
I always go back to Egypt. I'm always like, I feel like they at that time had connection to extraterrestrials.
So
You know,
yeah.
especially like
So did Atlantis.
or always had some sort of thing in the sky. You know what I'm saying? And so I believe they were able to use alien connections to alter the laws of physics to build what they need to build. And to astral project and all that great stuff. So yeah, I think we need to look at we do have friends and we do have enemies too when it comes to extraterrestrials. And I think some of our governmental politicians are working with the enemies. That want to harvest, energy harvest, as we see a lot.
Wendy Kennedy, who channels the Pleiadians, she says that the Pleiadians say that most of the bad ones are either trapped under our Earth underground because they couldn't get off the planet on the Great Flood, or they're not around right now. Like the good guys, apparently the good guys are kind of got Earth settled. And the tension is that the ones that are underground want to go home, and we won't let them. We've got them trapped there. That's what I understand to be the tension right now.
So that
Which
could
probably
be
is the
really
door is probably in Alaska. I mean, or the South Pole.
that's-
The South Pole is the door to it. Yeah.
So that could be maybe what the whole analogy about demons in hell could like really be stemming from. Actually, is those being trapped.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
know?
Actually, the idea of hell might just be dealing with them down underground. There's definitely huge underground
Probably.
stuff going on, and our government has tons of tunnels and stuff underground. I mean, that's one thing.
The underworld.
The new government needs to think about. When the new government is elected, KNEWI, by the way, is like, hey, what's going on underground, guys? And
Yeah,
we really
because
know about earthquakes.
that's the whole thing with the Iran war, right? Everything's underground, or in Israel, right? The tunnels that were built during the whole entire holy wars by both sides, whether it was the Muslims or it was during the Christians. That's where it's like to think that America doesn't have that when we have like NORAD, for example, in Colorado, built into the mountainside that goes down.
Yeah.
We're not even to know, but it's like 100 levels at least, right? We're doing things underground. I mean, even like in LA, they have all the underground things for the celebrities where there's Starbucks and stuff that people have worked at. And that's like where it's true too.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, apparently you can take a train from like LA to like, Denver in 15 minutes or something, and speed paint, allegedly there's a conspiracy that there's, bullet trains to go underground with, U.S. workers, U.S. state workers and stuff being trained into Area 51.
all of DC, because I went on the tour. I had an NSA agent who was like a fan of mine and went on a tour. Dude, I was underground on the train that got built during the Civil War that Lincoln took to get to the Capitol, right? And all of it's underground. So like the president you don't ever see the president drive up to the Capitol building. They go underground. And I've been under there. It's crazy.
Wow, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
So it's
Like that's
US
where all the
flags-
senators, that's where all the congressmen, they don't go up the front steps unless the cameras are there.
Right.
The
Interesting.
press. But the press goes down underneath there too. You might not recognize it, but they're underground whenever you see them. And so the whole entire city's underground, right? Like people, there is something to say about that. Plus the whole reptilian thing comes from the Middle East. That's what the Pleiadians always say, where Iran is. And so, I'm not trying to say that if you're from there or something that you're reptilian, but it's kind of interesting too. In the Animatrix movie that goes to the backstory of it all, that's where the AI robots kind of were made. And this is where all the data centers are. And that's what's being threatened this week too, right? Was that Iran is saying they're going to take out OpenAI's big data center, this data center, that.
Where's OpenAI has a data center in Iran? No.
Yeah.
What for? Why?
Who do you think's coming up with all the money?
What? Oh, see, that's sus, man.
What do you
It's
mean
very
they all are?
subtle,
They all are
That
in
is
it.
us. That's just
They
like having
all
a.
are-
Why do we have a Wuhan lab for viruses in China? What the fuck, man? I mean,
What
it's
do you
crazy.
mean? All of the big data centers now are funded from them, or we do stuff that is funded, but
Oh, that's
and everybody's involved in that.
and now we're bombing them. I mean, it's like,
Well, no,
Uh,
now Iran is that. Iran's been smart. Iran's been targeting actual stuff that is going to affect the West, right?
right.
They're
I'm
they're
saying
not.
this too.
So if you're afraid of them like throwing some nuclear bomb at us, that's not
I'm
their
not.
plot. Their
I'm not
plot.
afraid.
They had game planned war game this for decades
Right.
when we would
Yeah.
attack, and they have mastered it. Right, like they've
Mhm.
cut off the oil supply, they've cut off energy, they've
Right,
cut off.
right.
Look at all our bases got hit. Right, and it's like they act like we were the ones winning the war when actually we're the ones losing. We have an
Right.
F-16 that just got shot down by a rocket launcher that's done on a shoulder.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not surprised that technology's here. I mean, we're getting good at that stuff. It's interesting. It doesn't, y'all. It's just not what it seems. I think we have to all keep an open eye. I mean, I think we have to keep an open eye, not open AI. You know, it's like we have to keep our eyes open and take a look at things because they're not what they seem. Nothing is what this seems. That's one thing I
No,
know.
of course not.
I don't know what it is, but I know it's not what we're being told. I know it's not what we're being told. So,
Yeah,
all right. So I guess we're talking about politics now.
Well,
Yeah,
and he's pushing past politics is actually the title, so it's just interesting. We're leading from that, but I think that pushing past politics is more so. I hear a lot of people saying now, like, don't turn on the news. I used to say that 5-6 years ago. There's a cover thing, and some of you may not be able to handle the news. A lot of us need to be tuned into what's going on with our politics to understand where we're going and how to like really shift things. So, but pushing past us, I think that we have to understand how we fit in as a community when it comes to what's going on and where we can find ways to make a difference in our communities based on what's going on in our political space. Some of you might be called to lead. Some of you might be called to teach. Some of you might be called to like help out certain communities that you feel like need some assistance. This is how we push past the politics and put it into more of a productive nature. And so again, it's not that we're just consuming the politics, but we have to understand that what's more important, politics or morality and humanity, and the two should be integrated. A lot of times we always are told don't talk about politics or religion with people because those are the two things that separate us. Why? Those should be the two things that unite us. And so I think that we push past of how it's been designed and how we've been due to this space and start reforming and reshaping the idea of politics, and that should be integrated with humanity and connecting people. Then we can start doing our due diligence as far as how we could participate in humanity to make things shift and change. And I don't think people realize the things they can do in their positions that can actually affect a whole community of people. And that spreads like wildfire and creates a domino effect. So we need to be informed, but that's how I think we push past it. By
I think every
changing it.
selfie cam should become a cam that watches them. Why don't we just turn around and make our own news network and just watch them? Everyone capture everything you see on your phone and stream it live right now. And let's fucking catch them doing shit. Because we've got them surrounded much more cameras than they have us, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you just flip that selfie right around, and suddenly it's the other way direction. That's what I think it is. I feel intuitively there comes this moment. I don't know what causes it, but American people wake up and suddenly go, why don't you explain again? Like this, at this point, we've been just like, we just always just said, yes, we'll buy the bullshit you'll tell us. But I think there comes a point where Americans, at least Americans, I can't speak for other countries, we're just like, wait a second, we've seen this in a movie. A lot of the plots have been told in movies too. It's like, we never put that together either. It's like, dude, it's the same damn plot. It's a dumb ending. We know all this. We've memorized it. There comes a point where we say, we're going to watch you now. We're going to ask you questions.
well,
I think
that's what James O'Keefe does, right? And he's been doing for
Who?
James O'Keefe. That's
Oh,
what he's
yeah,
been
yeah.
doing. He had Project
Props to him, by
Veritas.
the way. Yeah, props to him.
Yeah.
I went and saw him out in 2022 and in Miami during the whole COVID thing because he was exposing all the politicians, whether left or right, with hidden cameras, and he gets girls to go on dates or men to go on dates with. So and he exposed it, and he's so upset right now because he just caught all the fraud in California, right? That all the homeless are paying people to do the voter rolls, right? Like, and there's no arrests, there's nothing happening, and he's got it all on tape. And he's now he's like so pissed because he's like, whether it's the left or right, he exposed what's going on right now with Pam Bondi. He's the one who exposed Pam Bondi and got her talking about the Epstein files at lunch. Right? Like, okay, and nobody does anything about it. So I think that Scott's right. The only way to push past this is you have to be informed, and we all have to do something. And new leaders have to come about. But the other part too is like there's stuff that people don't even remember about our Constitution. Like if we get
I
enough
know.
states, and that means if we rally in your own state
You're
to
right.
get the governor and get all of the
Yep.
the local, senators and so forth to declare, a state convention, we
Yep.
could change amendments. We,
Yeah.
the people, can take over everything and go
Yeah, right.
over all three branches of government.
Yes, and we should also be taking
And
that.
that's what I think the future is like,
I agree.
there's going to be a moment where we all have to go to our local state governments and we all say, you are going to the convention.
Yeah.
And this is the demand. These are, and I hate to see it demands, but as people, this is our country. It's for the people, by the people. That's going to be the power that is the fastest, most quickest way, because the game's rigged.
Yeah.
And the only
But
way to
that's-
get the rigging to change is, a different way.
But
be
that's the
careful.
power. We need more James O'Keefe's, is what we're saying. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
many people are focused on selfish things to do with our world, and I want to be famous, and I want to be on a TV show, and all that bullshit. And we need more people at James O'Keefe's that start trends like that actually create shifts and changes, right? And hold people accountable, expose certain things, bring truth to people. And so, yeah, like Chris was saying, we should all be capturing everything and posting it and posting it, posting it, posting it, and being informing with the intention of informing each other what's going on. Because a lot of times I hear in the news like, oh, there's all this disaster in Australia. I call my friends in Australia like, that's not happening. That's not going on here. And so we got to keep each other informed so we're not being misled by certain
And by the way,
narratives too.
we trust, but we verify always, because
We
I'll
have
tell
to
you right now,
verify.
there's already a plan from the Rockefellers for when we do have the Constitutional Convention for what they want to have changed in it. So they've
Right.
thought of these things ahead of time and they have this playbook for any direction. So even when we go down the right path, we have to make sure that we're all legit, verify everything every time, everywhere. Doesn't matter what, you can't really trust anymore. You have to verify.
You have to do discernment.
That was
because-
what the Civil War, they tried to do state convention. They tried to do that in the South, right? That was the idea of the beginning of the secession.
Okay.
That the South was going to get enough states to come together to do that. But yet they didn't. It started in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Ironically, though, it was Lincoln who said, I will make an amendment. And he went and got Congress to agree that we will say if your state had slaves up until 1861, when I take office, that it could stay a slave state forever. And they all denied it just because they didn't like Lincoln. So that war was a
Yankee.
pointless thing. I think we
Yep.
got to watch out for
Ego.
ego as people being like, hey, actually, there's a way for us to move forward here. But what, you want to prove something else? Like, it's not about actually helping out or changing things. It's more about you want to show off and be the star, right? Like how you just said, Scott, oh, everybody wants to be the next influencer. And that's what's sad. Gen Z, right? Their number one job, it's like 91% all are, I want to be an influencer.
I know. Well, influence your own life first. It's not easy. I'll tell you.
Well,
At the end of the
it's
day, no one
not
wants-
easy, and it takes it's a never ending journey,
It's
and
fucking
you got to
sexy.
make content every day. It's not
It's tiring. It's tiring.
Yeah.
And speaking of hybrids, Lincoln's kind of weird. I've never seen a man like that since. Have you? He might have been a hybrid himself. He was a weird energy, but he was an Aquarius, right? Age of Aquarius thinking and very
What are you
early.
talking about? What's your point?
Lincoln.
What's
Abraham
your point? He's
Lincoln.
Aquarius. That's your point.
No,
Weird.
he was. I'm saying he might have been a hybrid. I mean, he's a weird guy. Like we haven't put
I'm
out a guy
teasing,
like
I'm
that
teasing.
since. I've never seen a
I'm
guy like
teasing.
that since.
Yeah.
What's that?
no, but I mean, he did do martial law, right?
He was brilliant.
He did create the greenbacks, paper money, and take out loans, and started this whole horrible money trail to get the war
Wow.
funded. So it's
yeah.
like there's good and bad with him, right? It's like, and at the end of the day, they killed him right after the end of the war in his second term, and it's because he chose a Democrat to try and bring the country together on the second term. He lived, of course, and everybody else died. And the people that were supposed to kill the new vice president just happened to get too drunk.
Right.
I don't know if you
Lovely
know
stuff.
that, but that's actually the story. And then a Democrat took power,
Yep.
who was Republican for the first year, and then the next. That's why the
There's money
whole
behind that
South
assassination.
and having the whole Southern, hospitality of letting them have their guns and not getting back at any of it was because they killed Lincoln, and they put a
No.
Democrat in to be with him. So we have to be
That's it.
careful about this future of it. Like sometimes it might look like you said, Chris, like what the Rockefellers, whoever these families are, whatever these forces are, or where all the money is, they've got these kind of things planned. Like, oh, that looks like a great thing. We're bringing the two people together.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. When you have all that money, all you want now is control. So you don't really care
Right.
about the money. It's about control and
Exactly.
shaping reality because you play God, and so you want to shape reality. And so
But
and it's
high.
like two main companies own all the radio and TV stations, so they get to control and dictate what's being expressed. And I think this pony show left and right is part of the manipulation too, right? And so, but that's why now it's more important that we understand what true spirituality is, and we don't fall into the traps of spiritual bypassing. So tomorrow on my live show, I'm talking about spiritual bypassing exposed. Okay,
So
and
smooth.
so we're going to put up the banner for that. There we go. So tomorrow, 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Also doing live one-on-one readings as well as I always do every Thursday. But getting to the depths of, are you falling privy to spiritual bypassing? What is it? How to avoid it? And what true spirituality and progression really means tomorrow. And I'm live every Thursday too at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. Check me out.
Live
Come
TV on
join.
Thursdays. Not just
I
Wednesday.
like
but
the
also
drama
Thursdays.
mask all cracked in the background.
Right. I'm not taking this trauma anymore. Yeah.
I think we're at
But,
time. Are we not? We're going to transition to our.
We're overtime.
in-
Yeah, I was trying
we're overtime.
to segue.
So guys, you've heard all these examples. Don't just put up a shift show. Lead out loud.
That's it. We're done.
Yeah, we do this with music and yeah.
Overtime.
Well, catch us for the after show.
There we go. Yay.
After show. My verbal
Yeah,
rising was like
Lincoln kind of creeps me out. I don't know if I want to be in a room with him.
With who?
With Lincoln.
No.
He was weird.
And weird and
That's what I'm saying. He was a
yeah, I
little
know.
weird.
I'm just saying that. Yeah, it would have been weird.
He taught himself the law. He was originally brilliant and just by himself. Yeah. And Mary was a trip.
He didn't even like his wife.
No, he didn't. He was probably gay.
He was.
I can verify that.
Hey, what's up? I'm the Leo King, celebrity astrologer David Palmer. And you might be asking yourself, what is a celebrity astrologer? Am I an astrologer and do I do astrology just for celebrities? You know, being a celebrity astrologer is about embodying a lot. Not only being an astrologer and of course doing readings for celebrities, but it's about connecting the astrologer aspect to the media, to the world. You know, embodying the model part of myself or the TV personality that I've been in my life to connect to this 21st century and to connect to this new world with social media and with television.
And Hollywood is tapping into the spirit world through psychics.
Celebrities want to find their power of self.
Untold with Maria Menounos, tonight at 8 on E!
Especially, astrologers have been around for thousands of years on royal courts. They've been doing it for kings and queens. I mean, bringing the astrologer back into society, it's almost like being an astrologer has been axed out and we've been kind of put into our own little weird world. And I think that it's very important to utilize, you know, all the aspects of connecting to what we think of celebrity and pop culture and bringing these ancient science practices and all this wisdom to the mainstream world. And that's why, you know, building a studio like this here at the Leo King Studios and High Vibe Studios has been part of it, to be able to create my own networks, to create my own content.
And a Taurus is going to have their worth and be a little bougie like you, and it will work out. You can't go with a cheap person or somebody who doesn't know their worth. Guys who don't have self-worth is your biggest turnoff.
That is! If you're not a confident man, get to stepping. I can't deal. I can't deal.
And then as time went by, I went on another big reality show called ABC True Beauty, and I went on and I said, you know what, I'm going to tell the world I'm an astrologer. It's time. It's time to really own this. Because you have to remember, being an astrologer is a little scary. You have religious people who think you're the devil, and then you have the scientific community who think you're schizophrenic. So there's this element of dealing with this aloneness in many ways, of like having to have the courage to follow what a lot of people think is a belief, kind of like religion, which it's not. Astrology is a bridge between the spiritual and the science energy and bringing them together.
And celebrity astrologer David Palmer, who is also known as Leo King. I like that, Leo King. So David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Steve.
That was amazing reading that you gave, man. And what information does someone learn from a reading?
What I'm trying to show people is that it's all divine. There's divine timing in life. There's divine synchronicities. And I help people see that when they were born so they can align and understand their life better. And it's good for helping people with knowing how to go down the right roads and not the wrong roads in life, because we have that choice.
Celebrity astrologer David Palmer, also known as the Leo King, is back with us. So his astrology guide is a hot seller right now on Amazon. We talked earlier about the modern approach to the age-old practice of astrology. So now let's look into the future. So David, what does the future hold for us? You said in our last segment, this week's gonna be a big one.
This week's huge. We got a Mercury retrograde coming in Pisces, which makes things really confusing. At the same time, the planet Uranus is going to come into Taurus like it did in 1934, which was like the rise of Hitler, the total change in all the agreements with the world and world power shifting. But the big thing's President Trump. He's got a pretty intense situation going on in his life. A lot of people look at it, whether it's from the government and the court stuff that's going on or whether or not he's colluded. But the big thing is there's going to be so much confusion in the world. He's going to be having to take on confusing information while being kind of attacked at the same time. So the mental stress is the biggest one. Is he going to mentally be able to handle it?
Astrologist David Palmer, aka the Leo King, who is joining us again here on ET Live.
I know, I'm so
Thanks
glad
for
to be
coming
here.
back. We
Yeah.
appreciate having you, especially during Mercury retrograde.
I know. Literally, the elevator on the way up was going up, no, it went down.
You got in the building. You're here on set.
I made it.
You made it. I mean, all right, it's Aries season.
So, well, the reality TV, the first one was 2005. I did a show on MTV called Parental Control. And back then, that was like the first of reality. Real World was the first reality show, and then it was these dating shows that MTV brought out, but they were very extreme, and they were all LA, Orange County based, because that was where they got all their talent. And so we got reruns all the time. And then I did Next with the Next Bus, where it's like 5 guys or 5 girls in a bus, and then the person who's going to pick the dates can basically
have 5 choices and just say next, next. It was a really big show. So MTV had me do both of them back to back. So I was on 2 shows replaying all the time. And that was where I was like, if I combine this with astrology, there's something there.
It's all about not being afraid of learning and having expectations of going through a whole season. The way that my writing style is really aggressive and really fast, and I like to do that as clean as possible. I don't know if it's really like motorcycle riding. I'd say it's jet skiing, baby.
That's like the 30s right there. That was like the 30s.
Yeah, that was nice. So you got to create one for me now. I'll give you all the footage. Put it together. I need you to boast me up for me.
You have to. Yeah, you have to make an EPK.
Yeah, I have one. I have an EPK. I just need to. I'll send it to you.
One of my
I'm
EPKs,
kidding.
like,
I'm kidding.
intros.
I'm kidding because I'm so not good at like boasting myself. I'm just horrible at it because I don't care. That's my problem. I need someone who cares. That's like, Scott, do this, and that was genius.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's just you're like me. You have plenty of content, so it's just like kind of giving people like a narrative. Like, why is it unique? What makes it different?
Yeah, I need someone to create that for me because I'm always doing it myself. I'm like, I don't fucking know what people want to see. You know,
I mean, I don't even know if people do like it. I mean, maybe that's a Leo thing, right? Like, well, I like myself, so I guess I have no problem to do that. So, but I don't look at it like, ooh, I really like this. It's more just like, huh, okay, I gotta. It's like marketing. Like, I gotta put it out there. Like, I did all these things.
I don't have that bone. I need that bone, the marketing bone. Like, I can
why?
brand
Because
things,
it's like, especially with TV, if they didn't watch it on TV, they're not watching it on the internet. So it's like by me making videos and then putting it on the internet, it's like, oh wait, like that fool did that. You know what I mean? Like, like I think that's the difference.
Does anybody even fucking watch TV anymore? I mean, does anybody subscribe?
I mean, I
like,
do just because I'm old and I have direct
What do you
TV
watch?
digital baseball.
Oh, well, that's different. That's different.
It's different, but
like,
I'll once a game's over or something, I'll like switch and I'll check the news for a second. But no, I don't watch TV. You're right.
Yeah, but majority of people, like, I'm just streaming. Is like I catch everything. I'm streaming and paying like $100 on fucking subscriptions of just for channels and certain shows, or I'll buy the show outright. Because I'm like, at least I own it.
Right.
But
I do that with Apple TV stuff. Yeah.
Apple TV stuff all the time, right? But I'm just saying, like, who subscribes? Like, even like us being late or on time or what? No, I'm like, it's not TV. It's recorded. It's a built-in TiVo, YouTube, catch the replay.
Can you believe TiVo even existed when then the cable boxes then came out with their own just on demand? Remember that? It was like
they stole that shit.
I know. They were like, oh, this is smart. All right, let's just do that. Then we'll have everybody rent it from us.
And then converting, like taking them, you have to give up the box, converting it all to like DVD or converting to like VHS at that time.
Oh yeah. I have those still here. So for me, I can just take
all
my old tapes. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the tapes. Yeah.
So
I can't believe like our cell phones. I watch like older music videos from like the 90s, 2000s. Like our cell phones have better quality than those music videos back in those days.
I know.
You know what I mean? Isn't that crazy?
I mean, but that was taped though.
I know, but I'm just saying this is crazy. Like we have this little thing in our pocket, and we can like have HD. We stream
but that
live,
makes no sense to all the war video. Like I'm like, why are they using like really old cell phones? But it's not even that because I follow this one influencer. He does technology. He took the newest iPhone 17 Pro Max this year, and then went all the way to iPhone 1 and took a picture. You don't even see a difference.
Really?
It's very minimal.
Seriously? Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so it's not like they've done much to it. They make us think that, of course, for video and to actually
video.
video. But for picture, you look at the iPhone 1, you look at the iPhone 2, 3, 4, and you don't see a difference to the 15, 16, or 17. You can't even really tell.
The
You know
photography.
what's funny though? Like,
Yeah.
when we look,
They
it's
claim
funny
it.
when you
They
look
claim
at
it's better. They claim it's
when
better.
you look at like
Yeah, I
old
mean,
news. When you look at old news clips from like, you know, when there's like wars back on CNN, and like now I look, I'm like, that's a green screen. They're really fooling us. We thought they were actually there. Like we look back,
right.
and we've been duped by so much shit.
Well, the moon
You know?
landing. Let's talk about the moon landing. We didn't talk about that
Oh,
yet.
let's talk about that. Yeah.
I want to know if
What
Neil
moon landing?
Armstrong's the first person
No, he's
Who-
obviously lying.
who put the camera on the moon first to have him.
That's what I said. And here's the thing. I've said that myself because you know what? They say, oh, it was on one of the legs of the things. They're like, no, cameras back then were the size of a house. They were
know.
gigantic. They didn't have cameras. They were tiny. They could be on like a leg of a spaceship that was made of aluminum foil to begin with. They had aluminum foil spaceships, first of all. They're aluminum foil,
Well, they
like colors.
Yeah. And there's discrepancies with the flag. It shouldn't have been blowing that way. There's discrepancies with the lighting. The lighting shouldn't have been lit this way. Like there's so many discrepancies with that. But like I was saying to you guys before, how we were able to do it then, but how many years
Right
has
now
it been
we
until
can't.
we're doing it now?
We lost the technology, they said. How the fuck do you lose technology?
What the fuck have we been doing between then and
Every
now? with
technology is
NASA?
built on technology is built on technology. How can you lose it?
That's the whole Apollo program. They lost everything. That's what they said about the
Well,
Artemis, right? It was
the
like,
files,
we
maybe.
have to start from the beginning. We lost all the old manuals. We lost all
Right.
the old capsules. We don't know. I'm like, you got to be. You don't throw any of that shit away.
Seriously.
Well, the space shuttle, hello, that wasn't losing it. We built. Actually, the truth is, we haven't grown at all. I honestly think that it's all a myth. First of all, those paperclip, the Operation Paperclip, that's the start of NASA. NASA
Right.
is from
Right,
the
the V3
paperclip
rocket.
people.
Paperclip, yeah.
Yes, and the
Von
rocket
Braun.
guy. Yes, and what's his name? I can't remember. The
And
guy
he's
who-
the first video leaving the atmosphere. But
Yeah.
actually, I believe that video. And then I think they were like, oh, wait, hold on. There's something we don't want people to see.
There is something you don't want us to see. Allegedly, there's a black hole like on the top of the Earth and the bottom of the Earth, like a big black hole. There's a hole. The Earth and the center.
Can we
Set
actually
up.
break the Earth's atmosphere? Can we actually leave it? Is that possible?
I think we can.
The firmament.
I
What's
believe
that?
in Voyager, like the Voyager program, and like the one that took pictures of Jupiter. I mean, I believe that was real. I mean, I think we did get space probes out there. I do think planets are round. I do feel like
Yeah.
that's the case. I mean, everything in God's world is round.
I mean, you could look in your own telescope and look at the planets. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
They're put
Did
out
you
there.
guys see the video where there was like a little kid talking to the
Sure, delay. What happened?
astronauts?
That was a weird, awkward,
Oh,
random
you hear me?
act of silence
Yes,
right
we
there
can.
for a moment. That's
Oh, weird.
Does that happen?
Uh,
But I mean, yeah, I mean, I think, are we really going for the moon? I mean, there's obviously some with the moon. I want to see the other side of it. I mean, did they say with the
I
just
think-
yeah, the
recent-
pictures are out. I mean, it looks darker and it looks like had more things hit it. It looks like there's probably ice.
You know why this is
But-
happening? It's because of really Elon
there's,
Musk.
there's
Yeah.
settling up
Elon
there. I'm
Musk.
sorry. There's settlement up there on the other side. I
Well,
think
they
this
say there's a
base
whole.
is-
Apparently, the damn thing's a big base, anyways. It's allegedly
what I'm saying.
hollow.
Yeah.
Even
Right.
according to like the Martian legend, you know, when psychics go back to the whole, there's a planet that was the asteroid belt was actually a planet. Mars was at war with the asteroid belt. Mars is in the place where the Earth is now because the actual solar system, the planets are actually moving out of the solar, away from the sun every year. So it's like we're now in
Right.
the orbit of where Mars was and Venus was blah blah blah. So apparently Mars is in the Goldilocks zone before, and there were people on Mars or things on Mars, and there was another nation on the asteroid belt, and they got into war and blew up the asteroid belt, and that war ended up killing off the atmosphere of Mars. Now I was saying the other day, I believe that Elon Musk was the guy who did it. That's my theory.
Yeah,
I think,
and that's
I
why he
think
wants
he's
to go back.
well,
Yeah.
I think he feels guilty. He's got his karma to repair. He's got to repair that planet. So I think he's a legitimate threat to government because he knows.
But
too
it's
much.
kind of
He's got
funny
too-
though because he switched everything to the moon and he's a double cancer. I'm like, of course.
You know what though?
Yeah, that's
that
what's
makes
so
sense to
funny.
me.
Yeah,
Because he was being
It's
a
like-
wild day boy and going straight for Mars, and they're like, dude, they told him all along, you got to start at the moon. You got to start with the moon. Everyone told me you got to start with the moon, and I think it just dawned on him like, oh shit, I do have to start at the moon because I need a pit stop. You know, I think it was just
yeah, like a
young boy.
cancer can act like all manly, like Tom Cruise, right? He can
Right, right.
play the actor part
Right.
of like any kind of like really
Right.
hardcore male. But in
Right.
real life, he's really jumping on
Right.
the couch for Kate, fucking and shit like that. From back, it's like
Eating pudding on commercials. Yeah.
right. So and screaming at people if they don't watch a movie like the right way on their television.
We're talking about Wilcox. I actually believe a lot of that. I feel when I heard that stuff, that there's a secret space program that the United States is is in orbit of Jupiter in a matter of minutes every day. I got a feeling that's the truth.
I think David Wilcox has some good things, but he's also really lost in some other. He reads every show off this diary prophecy thing. He's using his own diary as a prophecy for now.
Yeah,
and it makes no sense. I don't even know how people sit through it. I'm like, what? And then he'll just cherry pick it to whatever's happening in this moment. I'm like,
that's why
he's alive. You have to watch it, and like he's just picking whatever he had written like 25 years. Like it's so weird.
That's what the government hasn't had him. He hasn't been suicided, you know. Like
he feels a little.
Really
he also feels a little sensationalized to me too, a little bit. There's a lot of sensationalism that blends into a lot of his work too. I'm like, okay,
he does the sensationalism, right? Yeah, his own created. Yeah.
He did some bad things. That's why he got X'd out of the community and with Gaia, dude. Like,
what did he do? Because I think I stopped subscribing to Gaia before that happened.
From because I'm in this community deep, right?
Spill the deets.
The beans are that he took the yoga girls that worked at Gaia in Colorado in tents with ecstasy and cheated on his girl, and like
that's not that's not that bad though. I mean, that's pretty much every guru. I'm not saying he was right.
I mean, it's like that, and then also the bullshit, and then stealing other people's like content and claiming it was his, as far as like
ideology. I remember that part. Yes, that's why I felt
with that, right? And then like kind of coming out like he made all these guarantees of like disclosures 2017 and right, like, and they all didn't come to pass.
Yeah.
So
that's where ego got in the way. I think a lot of people spiritual people quite often are idiots with their ego. But they've been nothing but spiritual in past lives. They've only been spiritual. They've been in monasteries done. So when
that's why you use astrology, because it's a guarantee. It's like it's not the ego. It's like the astrology says this. So
well, the irony is the person who's most holy is usually the dumbest as far as an idiot, with an ego, because they have not developed the ego. They weren't cowboys. They weren't soldiers. They didn't have past lives where they were macho and got over it. And so the first little taste of power, they fuck it up.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Then they realize they have so much. I think the thing that gets people is when they realize they have so much influence.
Yes.
Because a lot of people get into spirituality because they don't feel influence. They need a higher power. So they get into that, whole regimen mentality. And then like, oh my God, I have all this influence. And so they get lost in that.
Could you see him with those chicks with the Teds in Colorado, like pulling out that old book of his? Like, this is my prophecy book. You're supposed to take this ecstasy with me right now based off this line that I wrote in 1992.
Wow.
The line he snorted in 1982.
Like, wow, that's like the girl's getting all creamed up for that. Like, geez.
That would be.
And that's where I think he pushed it like to where it was like very like there was lawsuits.
Well, he's going down that guru path. He's going down that guru path. So many spiritual.
That's why you don't sleep in the same quarters. If you do a spiritual event, you don't.
No, you hurt yourself from your customers. Yes.
No, you make it about the work. I mean, it's like.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people in spirituality that are very vulnerable, right? So especially with religion. So then they realize I have this influence and they're vulnerable, so I can kind of do what they get the God complex. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
And they always look like kind of goofy too. These God complexes people. They don't even look like they match the title. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's odd.
Well, yeah, and then David Wilcox, I don't know if you see, like, I mean, he has like 8 cameras around and he can't figure out which camera to stay on, so he's just constantly.
I know.
It's like
the one.
Okay, we're gonna do the wide shot overlooking, but like then you're gonna go to the extreme close up, then to like your left.
Yeah.
So it's like he's just diddling around. It's like I'm like, oh, dude.
Well, he has usefulness. Do you believe he was Edgar Casey?
No,
because he says he was Edgar Casey in his last life.
Well,
no,
he's obviously failing really bad.
Yeah, no, I don't get that. I don't get
Edgar Casey actually did real psychic work, where this guy's failing hard.
Yeah.
Again, sensationalized copy and paste.
Yeah. Yeah, Edgar Casey was certainly wise, but I don't know if you always carry your wisdom. Well, I think you do carry your wisdom.
Well, I think to a certain degree you maintain that same level of power. You might express in a different way when you reincarnate. So I would think he would still have a heightened sense of the psychic power if he were. in this incarnation, whether he
just
views
turned
it or
into
not.
ecstasy and we turned into ecstasy intense this time. It's like that's his power.
Well, I think having
That's
some
not
sort of
fair.
original form of spirituality for him, he's a copycat of like what do these people
exactly.
say, and then just putting that together instead of his own original spiritual insight.
I'm always-
Right? It's like
if you follow past lives, though, it's so funny because people usually do bounce around between like very famous to like idiot to famous. I mean, it's weird the way it's numbered. I think it's because to keep things in balance.
Yeah, but to me it would be like for example, if he had that psychic power previously, this incarnation he'd probably have the complete opposite of that, or abusing it to some degree, or making it really intense and creating change. This guy just seems not so developed, like on the soul level when it comes to that
No,
ability.
he doesn't.
You
You're
know
right.
what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because you
His
wouldn't have
soul
to phone it in. You wouldn't have to kind of like sensationalize it. You know what I mean?
That's
So
because
it just
wisdom
doesn't
really is.
develop.
I mean, you look at David. You can say you just have had children. Aren't you
Right.
fucking amazed at how these kids know so much already? Like you're
oh
like,
yeah, very much. Like
there's
it's
so much
kind of
intelligence and so much like, oh my god, there's so much in there that you didn't have anything to do with, and you're just like, where's this coming from? And it's the past lives. I mean, we bring the soul and the experience right into that.
I
first
just
baby.
pulled up his chart. I never knew what it was. He's a Pisces sun, Pisces Venus,
What degree?
Pisces his degree of the sun is 18 degrees Pisces,
Huh, that's ego. That's ego right there. I'm an 18.
right?
See?
And then his
Egomaniac.
Mercury retrograde in Pisces is 27, and his
Another ego
Venus
number.
in Pisces is 10. In the fourth house, he's a Scorpio rising at 21 degrees.
Oh, teacher.
He has Saturn in Gemini. He's born 73, like you.
Oh my
His
god.
moon-
Oh my god. Fuck.
But his grand trine is not like
Air?
his misses.
There's another grand trine later that year. Let's see. So he's a Scorpio.
When you were born.
He's a Pisces. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was the build up to the grand trine, but he didn't get it. So he's one of those
yeah.
guys who he's close, but
Mm.
it's not it.
Not
Yeah, I
so
got it.
much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where it's all wired together, the air signs.
Yeah, plus
Yeah.
he's all Pisces like that in the fourth house.
Still, there's something about our generation. It's weird because it's the lowest birth rate in the entire century.
Yeah, I
So
never
where's
knew
your
that. He has a
top
moon in
chemistry?
Taurus at
He had moon
12
Taurus?
degrees. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why he feels I
in
can
the
hang out
sixth
with him.
house.
He'd annoy me, but I hang out. His son's in the sixth or what?
I would love to
moon.
see you guys talk to David Wilcock.
In fact, he's here.
Straight
Dylan.
up.
That's good.
Yeah,
Surprise.
I wouldn't mind talking to him.
I'm going to be the unpopular one here and stand up for David Wilcock because he was talking about shit that before or when it
Morgan's
was
talking.
very
See, I don't hear
unpopular.
Morgan.
Oh, you can't hear me. Oh,
I
that's
can hear
funny.
you. I hear him.
I hear you.
him.
Weird.
He's not on
I
my
hear you.
screen. I'm afraid if I refresh it.
Oh, you guys can hear me.
He's at the bottom of the
Oh,
screen.
okay. Whatever.
I
bottom of
know
my
he's not
screen.
showing on mine.
Well, I'm
I
going to
hear him.
give props to David Wilcock because
Sorry,
he
Morgan,
was
if I was
talking.
if I was talking on top of you, because I don't even see or hear you, so I'm afraid.
Yeah,
if I
you're
refresh
talking.
It'll kick
Yeah,
me
you're
out.
talking
You are
on
at the
top of me.
moment.
Just refresh, dude. It'll bring you back in.
Yeah, refresh.
Because
I'd say refresh. Whoa.
Okay. Oh, he refreshed.
Well,
that was refreshing.
I would say that you are correct, though, Morgan. Like when he
He had some
came in,
balls.
he came in hot. But then
He had courage.
I think it's sad to watch somebody come in hot and
Yeah.
then just completely just
And fall.
lose it and not and continue to try and throw pasta on the wall and it ain't sticking.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
slowly die in front of you.
I just think that he took a lot of risks to
He did.
put himself out there, and
did.
I think the other thing I like about him is that he doesn't take himself too seriously. I think,
That's true.
I've gotten a lot
Yeah.
from
Yeah, but
from
he
watching
did that on
him
the
over-
backs of a lot of people. Like there was Corey Good, there was all these. I don't want to get in that whole water.
Yeah, of course you guys were closer to it. I never heard about that those controversies.
It's got a Pisces. You know, Pisces is like two fish swimming but different ways. Like there's a good Wilcox and there's a Wilcox that just undermines that good Wilcox.
It's like Russell Brand.
Yes. Very
Yeah.
good example.
That's
Look
a
at
that's a
his-
really good
Russell Brand is
analogy.
the twin that
That
undermines
is a big topic there. The Fabian connection, hey, Russell Brand.
Well, I just think it's like he was at Conscious Life Expo as the headliner right after David Wilcox was the headliner that failed, right? Like everybody's like back away from David, and then it was like Russell Brand, and then right after that, then Russell Brand like kind of goes off, and then once all the sex stuff comes up, he's like a Christian now.
He's Christian. Yeah, Christian
I'm
influencer. Look,
Yeah.
I think when spirituality became a business, you have these people who are kind of in it, just enter it and compare it stuff. I think we have a lot of that going on in spiritual communities because it became such a big business. It became a
We
trend.
always have. I think
So it's easy for people to latch on to
respect, like there were, when there were gypsies that were lousy and gypsies that were good. It's like I think every time, every lifetime with spirituality, there's some assholes faking it. Every lifetime.
Yeah, like the Wizard of Oz, like he's making it like at the beginning of the movie, like with his little like tarot bandwagon thing, and then
it's funny. It's unfortunate, but that's the leap of faith. It's inevitable with spirituality. You have to go in yourself and find out for yourself. There's no way around it. I always tell people, I can't convince you. You have to try yourself and see what you see. But I'm certain of past lives. I'm certain of these things, but from my experiences that I've had.
Sure.
And undeniable. And
right. So if David Wilcock was Edgar Casey, he'd be talking about that more.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I agree. There'd be more
That's what I
depth
mean.
into past life incarnations and connections and so forth.
I've had nothing but expansion in my past life knowledge as I've gotten older, not less. It's something that keeps opening up and opening up. And now Atlantis is really starting to open up. Really, legitimately. I can't believe it, but
I think I'm going to say my last thing on David Wilcock is that he really bought the Q thing, where that you're realizing
this is a good topic. What was the Q thing?
What was it?
What was the Q thing? This is a great topic.
The Q movement, right? And
what was it?
Well, all the Epstein files revealed that like he was the investor with this other dude for 4chan, the guy who started it, that got the Q movement going. And so Epstein ran both sides of the opposition.
Epstein was Q?
He funded the guy who started. He funded 4chan, which that's where it started, and all of that shit. And then made comments about it so he was playing both sides.
Right.
Wow.
That was to release the truth, but then also to dissuade it in a direction where it doesn't exist.
Correct.
Right. And so this when it does come out, we're looking somewhere else, and instead of where the people, I felt like the people who were put on Q are the people actually, the people who are the ones they're talking about. I always felt.
That's where Wilcock is trying to do the same thing with his own work, is trying to say like, well, the old posts from the Q page, right? Like all the Q stuff that you try to, like the dates are off, but you try to say, but this fits that. He does that with his own work, which to me is
Morgan?
like, you're crazy.
Morgan, what were you saying? Morgan?
I was thinking like, if you were to make a list of all the things that Q brought into the collective consciousness, like all the topics that nobody was fucking talking about.
It's true.
And it was like it seemed at the time that it was a back channel to disseminate information. It's sort of like predictive programming in movies or whatever.
Exactly.
But they laid the groundwork for all this stuff that is now come to pass. So
actually, I think what they did was they taught
a lot of it
over.
People were taught to look between people for the first time. Goes, wait, maybe we're not getting the right thing. Maybe there's something beyond this. Maybe there's something beyond. And that's when really the veil broke, when we started to actually look beyond what we were seeing. That was Q did that. I think it gets, and the people who follow Q were people who would not do that. These are the people, the dire Christians that heard, stay within their belief structure system, and they went outside of that.
I do think that PSYOP, and I agree with you, Christopher. And I think that PSYOP also was created, even though its truth was, because I think they knew it was going to come out at some point, and they were going to be, the light was going to go toward them. So I believe that they kind of premeditated setting it up to get it out first and be able to control the information. That's why I think that what its administration is in its office to control the access of this information. And so I think that's why the initial intention of doing so was. So I'm like, because I was like,
and that's why a lot of it got centered in Scottsdale in Arizona, right? Like the Q movement really got, and then guess where Charlie Kirk put TPUSA's headquarters?
Exactly.
What happened to him?
Right.
So and Erica Kirk ended up there from every other dude's bed to Israel to back to America and everybody else's bed and a girl's bed for 2 years, right? All that's come out that she was in a lesbian relationship for 2 years, right? Like, and lying to all the Christians, right? So it's actually she's the most interesting kind of like PSYOP as well, right? Like, what do you mean? I wasn't dating anybody before I met Charlie for all this time. It's like, right.
Yeah. Was she on a dating reality show too? She was on a dating reality show, wasn't she?
And then the dudes that she was in relationship with have all the pictures on their Facebooks and all the years she says that she was single. And then the girl that she was living with, like all the pictures are in the girl's hotel, or I mean, in her apartment in New York. Like, you know.
Well, and didn't she also win a Trump pageant too back in the time too? She was
of course she did. Of course, she's a plant.
I mean, hello. It's just, I think people are just not seeing the clues, and I feel like I feel Spirit is like, look, we're gonna make it even more obvious. You guys gonna wake up now? I feel like there's a test going on because it feels so goddamn obvious at this point, like it's being pushed in our face, all the facts and the evidence.
It really is.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I mean, I'll say it about the Artemis, the green screen thing, that the blip.
I'm with you, David. I'm with you on that.
I believe you.
I don't.
I'm surprised. Well, first of all,
everybody
they can't get the green
I
screen
mean,
thing right. We all have green screens. You're not seeing our little things. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's not that hard technology to master at this point,
Right. I know. And we're using, I mean, they're supposedly using the best equipment in the world, right?
Seriously.
The stuff we have.
Where's the raw footage?
Right.
I want to see raw footage of their phones, their cameras. I want to see raw footage, not these like doctored up.
My question was always like, where'd they get the moon rocks? Because moon rocks are heavy. And that means you're picking up rocks off the moon and you're shipping it. How'd that happen? Because the weight is so important as far as how much can go up and down when you have to do a rocket ship. Like they're calculating weight just like they do for airlines. Everyone weighs on the airline. They move people around on the airlines just so the damn thing doesn't crash. And so how did you get a bunch of rocks?
They made them take a shit on the moon because they probably calculated the kilograms of shit that you would get out to make sure that you can put it on board.
That's true.
So there's probably the astronauts' poop sitting there.
Sure. That's probably the meters I was found the other day too. Just turn into this fucking residue of fucking meteor shit.
If it was in the dark side of the moon, it'd be there. But if it's in the light side of the moon, it'd probably burned up.
I think it's all distraction. I think that they're doing something else in outer space. We think we're doing the whole moon thing. There's something else. The distraction. The timing of this is rather perfect with the war and where Epstein's on the tip of release.
It's a Truman Show, and they're on the other side of the moon directing.
Oh, did you hear that Lutnick and Gates are set to testify? Actually, they've been subpoenaed.
Yeah,
Lutnick and Gates.
And I know people think that Matt Gaetz is a bad person, but he was cleared of all the wrongdoing, and he's the one who outed Kevin McCarthy, right? The first sitting congressperson to ever actually get rid of a Speaker of the House. So of course, Kevin McCarthy worked in that backdoor area what they just passed a month ago, where they're never going to expose how many people in Congress have done bad sexual stuff, right? That it's all kept into the secret chambers where they have their own like setup of like doing their conduct, right? That's within themselves. And so they come out when Matt Gaetz is going to run to be the AG and they try to use that to get him away.
Yeah.
But not
Matt Gaetz is naive about the
they
dark.
don't show you the evidence. They just say that's what we thought. Kevin McCarthy's behind it after being ousted.
Yeah. I think Matt Gaetz doesn't understand the dark very well, so he gets outmaneuvered a lot. He gets outmaneuvered a lot.
Well, he was born on a full moon in Scorpio. He's a Taurus. 82.
Not Matt Gaetz.
There you go. I get outmaneuvered all the time.
But not Matt Gaetz, David. He's not the one getting subpoenaed. I said Bill Gates is the one getting subpoenaed.
I saw that. Yeah, I was about to. Okay, Matt Gaetz is the one who put the. Matt Gaetz is the one who put the fucking the Hunter Biden laptop into evidence.
Shit. Right. Exactly.
I mean, all of that. So of course they're going to try and get him out.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Bringing up the alien stuff, I'm going to listen because the people who, whenever you have balls to put out shit, you get ousted now.
Oh yeah,
that's true. It's true.
Yeah. Usually before you get killed. Now you get ousted.
I wanted to ask you guys, what is your current take on Jim Carrey? Have you seen anything yet that makes you feel like it's all good in Jim Carrey world?
I don't think he's around.
It's been like a month. Have you seen anything convincing?
No.
Where is he?
I don't know. No. I think he's got. I honestly think he's got some sort of Epstein tie. Not and regrets it. He's got something he's feel good about.
That's the one thing I just don't exactly feel like there was a. I didn't feel like there was a clone of Jim Carrey. That's one thing I don't feel like. Is he going through some shit? Like I said before, because he's seen some shit and he does some shit. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, I never really felt that there was a clone of him, and he's also disappeared for several years, and no one ever talked about him. So all of a sudden, Jim Carrey's why is he the topic of conversation? My question is, because he showed up, everyone thought he was a clone. Is that why?
Well, has anybody seen the real Jim Carrey yet? It's been like a month.
I think anybody you
Why-
see that gets propped up to that big of a status sells themselves out to the dark. They just
Yes, I was
do.
just gonna say. There's no way
Like,
he got
whether it's
I
Charlie
agree.
Charlie Kirk, I think figured out like, oh my God, she's a plant. Too late. Too like it all became too late, and that's why he went off for the
Right.
last 2 weeks before he got killed.
I think you're
Like-
right. I think anyone that's at that level has definitely.
If you make it to that
Drinking the blood.
level, because
You
see
we've
that?
all tried here, and the only way through there is some really dark path that you can sense way before even getting to it. Like, never mind.
Because they won't let anyone get more popular or powerful than their own plants, and so whoever they are. But,
why is
I
Jim
agree.
Carrey the topic though? Like, why has Jim Carrey become this like topic of focus of it?
Oh,
That's what I.
He's
like,
accused.
a news
It
article
was
about
so weird. His name wasn't in the Epstein files.
No, we were talking about it like
They
the first
promised
episode.
that he was in there.
We had the first episode. We had a story about it. I can't remember what it was.
About
Morgan?
was that really him? Right when he showed
what?
up, and it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it doesn't look like him, and he was in France.
He did not look.
Yeah,
like
I
him.
mean,
know.
it was him. I mean, again, that's
Yeah,
my
because I
psychic
saw a
view is, like,
video of like 8 months ago, and he looked the same. Like he did.
and he was
obviously-
rehearsing.
Yeah,
And he was rehearsing. They said, and if it was prosthetics, the prosthetics professional said he would be like dripping after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They would have
Yeah.
to keep doing retouches, you know. So
Yeah.
I agree. I believe in clones. I do, but I just feel like Jim Carrey is just very odd and going to very weird space. And that started like 6 years ago, 7
he
years ago.
might be in a Tiger Blood Charlie phase, but just not as like cool. Like it's more.
Tiger Blood Charlie face. Oh my god.
Yeah, because the Charlie documentary was amazing because it was like, yeah, okay, like what happened, bro? Like, I love the way he described. He's like, well, all I could say is, you look at the menu, and I looked on the other side of the menu, and let's just say I tried everything on the menu.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and so
He's a Virgo.
and he owned it, and he
He's a
just was
Virgo.
like, yeah, I fucking got like lost on crack for a long time after Tiger Blood, and I just fucking explored my sexuality, and then I ended up fucking like quitting because they got his dealer to start taking crack out of his crack to where it was finally just pure baking soda. Like this is a true fact.
Wow.
That was the only way because he was like, I'm hitting this and I'm just not getting high anymore. So he finally just gave up, and it took 2.5, 3 years to do that.
Wow. It's that addictive. Wow.
Yeah, to where his dealer started giving him like
I'm looking at
just
it from a
straight
user.
baking soda, and like that's
Wow.
what did it.
Wow. And that's system. I mean, that's Hollywood too. And it's
Right, but like Charlie Sheen is another person who you would think would be on it, but obviously not. Right, like he came out against the system too.
yeah.
Right,
He
like,
also- he's got
I'll
this
never
very good-
forget because you and
So
I
them taking-
were
taking
doing
advantage of
shows
boys
when
on
he
sets and
came.
stuff, though.
We were together doing shows, Chris, when he did that. And I'll never forget him smoking a fucking cigarette on fucking national news, CBS,
Right.
like his interview in his living room. Like, I'm fucking full of Tiger Blood, bitch. Like, I'll pound 50-pound rocks. Like, like I'm just like,
You're high.
Winning.
I was like that. Yeah, winning. Like that
Winning.
was that. And honestly, we were in the Great Recession. Like it was, everybody was so lame. And it was
Yeah.
like Charlie was like a bright light at that moment of just like somebody
He was
being
refreshing.
real.
Because he wasn't following the script, and so it was refreshing.
Yeah,
It was,
yeah.
It was improv. It was nice. We were finally getting original content.
And I think Jim Carrey didn't follow the script.
Yeah.
Or he was compromised a long time ago and put in all these movies that are iconic, that are like presenting the idea that we're living in a simulation, like The Truman Show, or
That's
like
true,
I
actually.
mean,
That's a good
he was in all those movies that were
That's true.
kind of circling back around.
But that's because of his father. I think
David
I think
Icke.
he got all that from his father. You know, his
David
parents.
Icke has been exposing all this shit for decades. I don't know if you
I
guys
know.
follow David
There's
Icke.
somebody
He's been
David to
annoying.
follow, not David Wilcock, because David Icke.
David Icke.
Yeah, no, David Wilcox. No, David Icke is genius. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
brilliant. I mean, on every level, and he's predicted a lot of these things. You know, I think he's the positive side of what's his face, Alex Jones, so to speak.
Well,
And so,
honestly,
but I
Alex
think-
Jones kind of took from the idea of David Icke.
I
David
believe
has a
so.
British accent, and so we thought he was more intelligent.
Because
I mean-
David Icke was doing it in the 80s and was a famous sportscaster, and then got put on that talk show, and he wore all teal and saying this is a spiritual color to wear. Started
Yeah.
bringing all this
He got
stuff up
mocked, man.
spiritually, and then they outed him.
Yep.
And then he just sold out arenas for 30 years straight and
Yep.
made DVDs, and then Alex Jones came up with that idea of like, oh, I'm gonna do that. And
That's what I'm
Be
saying.
the
So like, to me, I
American
always
David.
feel like David Icke was a very true source of information and knowledge.
Oh yeah.
You know, that's
I don't know
a
who
lot of
his
people
source is.
copy.
I don't know.
What do you think about Joe Rogan admitting on his show last week that he was in in Utah, hunting when Charlie Kirk's death happened, but he forgot to remember he was live on air when Charlie Kirk died?
Well, so he made a big whoa. I don't
Right.
think I
So
get
like
that.
if you go look up the moment Charlie Kirk died, he's live on air and it comes through and he talks about it. I forgot the guest. It's a big guest.
Wait, so it would have been pre-recorded, is what you're saying, or
Well, yeah, he had a blip where then he was saying,
Right.
I was in Utah that day when he died. I was
Oh.
hunting. And no, I wasn't anywhere near close to where the shot was. But then
You know what?
everybody went, what do you mean, dude? You're the guy who they show all over the news for those 2 days of like the moment it happened because you're the biggest podcast in the world.
I don't know, man.
Live saying Charlie Kirk just died. So which one is it?
Whatever Mockingbird put in his head, I bet you he's been nabbed. I mean, he's too big. You know,
That,
he's
yeah,
so
that,
big, he's a threat.
that's a big warning sign right there.
He's waking up at 4 a.m. and his agent's taking him out for reprogramming. Is what's happening. I mean,
Or the
Yeah, I
fact
mean-
that Trump just dumped Tucker Carlson completely this week.
what they broke up with Tucker.
Well,
Tucker
Tucker's
was
been
always-
like,
Tucker's
Tucker's
I don't
going
know.
after
I don't
him.
like Tucker. He's a Taurus. Even I don't like him. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. I don't believe I don't believe when he says his sincerity is false. It's false sincerity.
I don't know. I don't mind him.
I like his
I don't mind him
intelligence.
either. I don't mind him either. I just think right now, he's a little lost on what to believe. So I think he's in his own personal battle
That's-
of like what he really
I know.
believes.
This is your
That's
honest
what I like about him,
son.
he's kind of simple. It's like, dude, come on. You haven't thought about this for 1 minute?
He's a Taurus, bro. The Taurus moon, dude. At the end of
And
Taurus.
Christian, like super Christian, and is raised in a very
Well,
closed mind.
if that's what he says, right? This is the thing about all
I don't feel that's valid.
the weird MAGA version, like that. Most of them just all became Christians, right?
Well, we all, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, that's
Even
the crux,
Joe
but,
Rogan, right, talks about it now.
There's
It's
something
like,
about that. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's actually is something about. Like, what about the woman who did the tarot card, who did the angel cards?
or even yesterday, Alex Jones called for Trump to get the 25th Amendment.
I was just
to be
about
taken on.
to mention that. I was just about to say that. Yeah, it's like, I mean, I was saying, I think we said this before the show. I'm like,
Alex
if
Jones
it's
just did
that
that?
bad, where
Yeah.
Alex Jones is calling for the 25th Amendment to Trump.
Yeah,
It's
straight
pretty
up,
bad.
like, and that he's lost his marbles, and that they need to pull him out and get JD Vance in there now.
I don't feel he's lost his marbles.
Hey, does anybody know the Bill Hicks thing about Alex Jones? Have you seen this comedian Bill
I've seen
Hicks?
that, like that they're not watching Alex Jones, even
Oh,
like
wow.
well, there's the whole thing too about Alex Jones losing all that weight over the last couple of years, right? And then they replaced him with him.
Yeah, look,
Well,
go look at a video of Bill Hicks. He died when he was 32.
Morgan, the thing's so loud, your mic.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. You don't have to talk. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to remember, and this is ironic, right? Tucker's dad was CIA.
Oh shit!
That's
Really?
what I'm saying, they're all
Alex
connected to this
Jones' dad
Okay.
was in the military intelligence.
You know
So
what?
was Jim Morrison, huh?
From what I hear, the CIA use their own children. I've heard that over and over again from the children. From the children. I can
Yeah,
give,
of
I give
course.
you company we know that
So
won't
I
be out
wouldn't
loud,
be
David.
surprised if Tucker and Alex are
Raised to be this.
government operatives, right? That are
Well,
It could be.
hypnotized.
They could be.
Hypnotized government officers. I don't think they
I
realize it.
say this too. I really feel like Vance is going to turn on Trump. I felt that since day
Yes.
one. I'm like,
Well,
he's gonna
yes.
throw Trump
Well,
on the bus.
What I
He's
think of
going to
is
turn
Trump.
on him
I don't think he'll turn-
because I feel
No.
Vance is such an opportunist. So he'll be like, I'll go along
Hey,
with this
hey,
Trump
hey.
for a while.
I agree with
me
you.
and
But
him are
I
10
say
days
it's
apart,
gonna
and we have
happen
the
either way.
same chart, and he's a double Leo, 12th house on like me, and we're just 10 days apart, and I
Oh, yeah,
progressed
yeah.
into
So
his
he's
birthday
dangerous.
when I was 10 years old. So don't start
No.
going there about him. He's not, if
I-
anything, he's the spiritual light in that whole thing because he's
Oh,
gone
I-
against the war. He's
this is
back.
This is our
That's my
first
whole
gentleman's
argument.
bet. This is our first gentleman's bet because I think we're all onto something, but we all got it wrong. I personally think that Vance will turn on Trump when he passes and just reverse everything. And I think he will be like a Hitler. He's going to just go crazy with his power. If you get his emails, I'm on his list. I get on everyone's list. His emails are like, geez, he just goes off on rants. He's got this like killer.
Yeah, but
I'm telling
guy.
you,
Vance,
I'm telling
they
you.
don't. I've seen if you've
I
seen
think
the
you're right.
background, they don't do any of that. They have these girls that sit next to them with laptops and do all
Yeah,
of
it's
it.
somebody else doing that. Yeah, but I definitely
Well,
think he's going to turn on Trump.
still.
But that might be the
And
good
then
thing,
they
David.
use AI now of the MAGA like intensity and just automate it.
Yeah, it's all
I
automated
believe
stuff.
I believe that's true.
And he's
But
not great providing
I-
half
I-
of it.
I'm saying as a
psychic sense
double
he's gonna
Leo, right?
Yeah, that can
With
be good
the
or
same
bad.
astrology, the same planets.
Zero can be good or bad. You know, that's the interesting thing about
Right.
astrology. You can have the same chart and the person is a total asshole.
I mean, that's true, but he doesn't have a moon in Taurus like
But
me. He's in
David,
Libra.
But
We're not
David,
associated.
David,
You're obviously
if-
the good one,
David,
David. Don't worry.
But David,
No, I know
if he
that. I'm
turn-
just saying that I just know his chart. He has Venus
Right.
square.
Yes.
He has Sun
But
square
David-
Saturn too. He's
But you can always-
he's not gonna.
If you choose fear, it becomes a different chart. It becomes a
David,
different
what I'm
man.
saying,
That's
what I'm saying
true.
to you is if he interrupts or turns on Trump, it might be for the betterment of things.
That's
You know
what
I'm
I
saying?
think is
Therefore-
going to happen.
But that's what I'm
I
saying.
think he's just going to go against him when he dies. I think Trump will die, and I think he's going to be a 180 on Trump and all of a sudden hate him. I don't
He'll
think
do
he
it
has
before.
the balls actually to go against.
Well,
Trump
he
right
hated
now.
him before. Remember, he thought he called him a
course.
buffoon, all that stuff in
called him a Nazi.
2016.
He'll have the
Right.
balls, Christopher. He'll have the balls when he realizes others on board with him. Because then he'll feel like, oh, I have the opportunity here to get this happen. So-
There's a alliance right now. There's
If he had the
RFK,
balls, he would become vice
Vance,
president.
Tulsi Gabbard that all are
Mhm.
against the war, right?
Yep.
And that's why they're not the figureheads of the war right now. They're not allowed to talk. Vance is in the background, right? They're all just like, we support the president, but like they won't go farther than saying much of that, right?
Right.
And they have opinions, yeah.
Right. So and honestly, RFK's been exactly what he said he's going to do and doing the right thing. Tulsi Gabbard's doing the thing too. And
RFK, people hate RFK, and I'm like, dude, what's the problem?
I
seems
know
to be-
he's being honest.
What is it? They're like, I don't know. I hear the worst things, but I'm like, so what? He's a heroin addict. I'm like, that's why I trust him. I trust him because he was a
Yeah.
heroin addict and became sober. Like that is what you want.
How do you
Someone's
think
been in the dark
JD
and come out.
Vance got big? Is he wrote a book, Hillbilly, in the
Yeah.
movie because he was a fucking drug addict.
Yeah, I mean, see, a flaw is not when you correct a flaw and you heal yourself. That makes me respect you. That doesn't make me
Yeah.
disrespect you. People that have flawless records are not trustworthy because as soon you're going to be seduced by the things that other people have been in and pulled themselves out of. The strength
Well,
is
I
that
think
you overcome.
RFK is very controversial, and I don't think he has the best tact in dealing with some of the controversy to get people to be open minded to it. So I think that triggers a lot of people.
Why
You know,
are people
especially
so
the vaccine
triggered?
thing and-
It's like why are you so worried about a vaccine, by the way, people? It's like this is a manufactured good. I don't see you fighting for Toyota. Why do we all of a sudden rally up against like this is I'm somehow a sinner for going against an industry? Like, no, fuckers.
Hmm?
You can't produce a shot in 9 months. I'm not getting in a car you haven't spent more than 9 months designing. I'm certainly not put something in my body you spent more than 9. That was my whole thing. Like you spent 9 months designing this, which we know is not true. But still,
I don't
no
agree with
fucking way.
I don't agree with everything RFK says, but I think a lot of what he's saying is great for people to be aware of right now. So that's why it doesn't bother
Yeah.
me.
I
It's
think-
and so
better
he's
than what we've
crazy.
been getting our whole lives, like in there, like, hey, just like eat fucking shit and great.
No, he's right. No, he's right. I mean, we all know this. The light workers all know this. The food is full of crap. We know we have
He
light
bans-
workers. We all know that it's all full of crap. We know.
I know
it's
people
all-
are upset about the glyphosate thing, but if you think about it, it came just a week and a half or 2 weeks before the war, right? And he even said, like, we're switching into American chemical, and I don't want to
Right.
do this, but if we do
Right.
this, we need to continue to keep pumping because of our own ability to grow food, right? So he winked the war before anybody through that.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yep.
He's a
Yep.
smart man. Here's the thing: his uncle died being murdered. His father was murdered. There's karma to pay for that. There's karma to pay for that. This, he's going to find that the Kennedy family will be somehow repaid, and it might be that this guy who can't
You can't win every battle in a war like against food, vaccines, right? So he had to go.
You have to pick your battles.
plug in everything
We're
at once.
not going to change the whole entire glyphosate issue while we're going to have a war that's going to cut
Right.
off all
Yep.
the food from the rest of the world, and we're going to have to grow our own. And that's not the
Yep.
moment that you try to do the biggest
can't-
flip. That's
yeah.
the biggest
You know what though?
gamble.
Why the fuck are we worried? We had the best soil. We had the best soil in the world until Monsanto.
Right,
who was bought up
exactly.
by
And he
Bayer
went
Aspirin, by
up
the way.
against them, so you know he's
You know what? That's the thing. These light workers are not smart. They don't know the dark, so they go in rushing. They don't know how to deal with these kind of darkness.
Turn their
Right,
nose to
so
the
it's
sky in
like-
the dark.
he
that?
winked about the war 2 weeks prior with that.
Yeah. So this thing, people who are in the light, see, when you are true in your heart, you just don't think how bad they'll be, how much they'll cheat, how far they'll go. And you just
They can put
naively
that
run out there,
capacity.
and you see time and again the person with the good voice or the person with the good message, they get wiped out because they don't know who they're dealing with.
Well, they
Yeah,
just
RFK
deem
is
because they don't
spiritual
like-
too.
But they deem because they don't like somebody. They did say everything they say is bad or evil. They don't take out fine moments of that person they don't like. They just shut down. I was too negative instead of pulling out the positives like that. I did it with RFK. I mean, he did ban that synthetic dyes. That's a start too, right? He
And
put a ban for
poppers.
that.
Apparently, he gets poppers.
Poppers.
He banned poppers. Apparently, so I've heard. Poppers are banned.
Are you going through
Apparently.
withdrawal, Chris?
He closed popper. No, I've heard men talk about it. He's closed popper. I live in Palm Springs, brother. And
I know,
they're
you go
talking
through
about
withdrawals.
poppers. Oh yeah, it's a. They get mad about it. They really get angry that he's did.
I
that.
don't even know what a popper is.
It's,
And
VCR
like a little
cleaner. It's
chemical.
VCR head cleaner. It's actually
yeah,
VCR
and you
head
snort
cleaner.
it.
Yeah, they started to
People
huff
like
it.
people smell it. Yeah, they huff it before like having like intercourse, sex, and it's supposed to like relax them and heighten the sensation. A
Oh,
lot of
okay.
bottoms
No,
take it.
all right.
Yeah, yeah. Apparently,
Well-
it's been banned. Like, there's some sort of the factories are closing, shutting down.
No
well,
one's
that makes
saying- wait,
sense.
no
Like,
one's
why are we
saying-
making VCR head cleaner now when there's no VCRs? That's a good point.
No, yeah, right. No one's saying RFK doesn't get a pass, so that's an extreme. I'm just able to see things that are beneficial what he's doing, that can really
Well,
help
do it.
progress other aspects that are very important too. So
Alcohol is full of shit. It's full of crap and shit, and like California wine is full of crap and shit. And I'll tell you right now,
Right.
if you try to close down California wine right now with all the sulfates and everything's in, people would be mad and angry and how dare you? It's like it's killing you. Don't you feel shitty the next
Yeah.
day? You do.
Yeah.
It's not because the alcohol. Romans drink every day.
Yeah,
because
well-
they didn't have the shit in it.
I agree with woke ones. They all need to go. We need a whole revamp of a new generation
Really,
of
the whole world
leaderships
needs-
and politicians.
Every total 100%. And actually, here's
And
our
the
politics
fucking
talk.
two-party system's got to fucking burn. That's been the disease, the mental disease for a lot of people. Is a two-party system. That's the
yeah.
brain worms.
It is.
Right now.
That
They
is
both-
definitely controlled. That was control of people to keep it into. You know.
Puppets.
It was no. It was. I'm doubting. Every time there's a
Really
third party, man, they squash it out. Like media rallies against it. Everything rallies against that third party. You know,
Right.
it's that-
Based off the astrology, it's going to be up. And this might sound like I'm taking a side, but I'm not. But like the Republicans, they used to be the Whigs.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
And
right.
so, right. So like they've done the whole rename the party, change it to the GOP. Right. Right. But the Democrats have never changed that since the Democratic Republican Party of Thomas Jefferson. Right.
Yeah.
So like the problem based off the astrology, if you look at the chart of when the Democratic Party started, it's
yeah?
at the end.
It's, the
It's
end of his
actually a
life.
worse chart than like
I do
the
believe-
Pluto,
well-
right. So
Look, I've seen things flock. I was Democratic for on that party for a long time. I saw the people who are rational and cared for life. I'm talking about birthrights here. I'm not talking about baby abortions. People who actually care about life. I've seen in the Democrat Party that they're whatever they believe. It doesn't. If they believe this, then your life doesn't matter if you're going against this belief. Like
Yeah.
they've gotten radical about
but
the beliefs. It's like you're with
Republicans
this or
do
you're
that
not.
too if you're not Christian.
Christians, the same shit. That's human. That's
You
just
know.
human nature.
Well, no, Christians
That's
go.
where they
Christians don't do
both
shit
are
about that.
fucked up,
Christians
is
count
like,
Christians count on
unless you
God to take care of
follow
it.
this side's protocol, then you're a bad person and we're not going to help you.
The
You
Christians count on God to do it. They don't actually get their hands dirty. They're like, I don't take care of him. He's going to hell. But Democrats are like, we're going to rig it. Like it's a different philosophy, taking it on your own hands. I only saw it in my lifetime. It wasn't that way when I was growing up. Jimmy Carter was a Democrat. I thought he was an amazing president as a kid. Even I admired him as a
Reagan
president.
was a Democrat, then
Right,
turned
yeah.
Republican.
Or yeah. So was
Yep,
so was
that's
Trump.
right. So it's Trump.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we just haven't seen the flip to the other side, Republican and Democrat, because that's Civil War karma.
I believe that, and
That's
someone told me
Civil War
this.
karma, because that at the back of every Republican's mind is that if you're a Democrat, you support slavery, which they support having illegal immigrants here to get paid nothing and get treated like slaves.
So when did it switch?
The same
It
way.
switched- I think FDR switched it. I think FDR, somewhere on FDR and his wife, they somehow.
Well, because
Basically,
he was
they
the
became
longest
Democrats.
four-term president.
Wasn't he
packed
Republican
the Supreme
first?
Court, right? That the United States Supreme Court said you cannot add any more people. Then they went in, and he's the one who packed the court, changed everything,
Yep.
ran up, right? And then so
His uncle Teddy actually been president prior to that. Teddy Roosevelt. So that family had
Yeah,
some sort of grip on.
but he was a hardcore Republican who was a war, the Rough Riders, and used to ride his horse in. And
well, I think Franklin was a Republican before he ran for president, just like Trump. I think he switched over.
Yeah, he was a Republican first, and Roosevelt was, but he was a Democrat. I mean, initially, right? But, but he's saying he was Republican. I don't know if
Roosevelt was a Republican. He became a Democrat.
It's not the same family line. Like they have the same last name, and they're definitely connected, but they're not like they weren't like hanging out.
But I'm pretty sure. So I do think it was FDR that was a Republican, became a Democrat, and then suddenly the Democrats became known for what was Republican values. I think it was him. I think so.
I think was the civil rights movement what made the party shift. So a lot of
the civil rights movement. It was after JFK's death, right? Which we all know. Like, of course, the VP did it.
Rights did it.
And during the Civil Rights Act, it was the Republicans that passed it in the House and the Senate. Right? Democrats voted no.
Yeah.
And so the Democrat president had to sign that bill, right? Because, right, and that's what made then the rebel flag in the South became so big in the 70s and 80s and all that, because that was the fuck you to.
That's when that's when a lot of Democrats left.
That was a Democrat that signed it, but the Republicans are the ones that signed it in the House and Senate, and the Democrats didn't vote, and even the ones in the South tried to block it, and they blocked that vote for months upon months. Like it was like almost a year. So it was the Republicans that passed the civil rights movement.
Yeah, but then exactly, and then at the time, a lot of the Democrats left the Democratic Party and chopped over to be Republicans. So that's why things kind of shifted.
But you never see Republicans leaving the party to join the Democrat side.
Right, exactly.
True. Except Trump.
Well, Trump. Yeah,
Trump.
Well, technically, Trump is acting more like a Democrat than ever with the way that he does things.
We have to learn.
He's actually really liberal if you think about it, right? Like,
if you think of like the Bushes, they're all in the same family, right? Like,
and I'm not voting for Chelsea ever.
Well, every president is, except for Van Buren because he's Dutch. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in that line. All of them are my family.
I have some Dutch in me too.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm saying I'm in all the presidents' same line with my ancestors on my dad, white boy side.
Wow.
Mayflower family, right? Direct descendant. So
what do you guys think about, like,
they're all my cousins and uncles.
Interesting.
Even Obama is one of my 17th. Well, Trump is my 13th cousin first removed. Yeah.
Wow.
What were you saying, Morgan? Who's what? Would you say?
I was just going to say, circling back to David Wilcock, one of the things that him and Q was saying was that when JFK was assassinated, that there was an alliance of military people who saw this big plan that was going towards globalization and global currency and contact tracing and all that shit.
Israel having a nuclear weapon is why he got assassinated too.
But they said in all those papers was that that Trump was actually back then was primed, and he was buddies with JFK Jr., right? They were buddies, and that he was primed for like decades to fulfill this role to take down the globalists and all that stuff.
The deep state, take down the deep state.
Yeah,
I do believe, the reason why Q resonated, because it resonates. We have our psychic abilities. There's a lot of truth there. There's a lot of truth there. Mm-hmm. And that's how it is. They really mess with us because they give us a half truth, and half truth is very difficult. Half truths are very difficult because if you say half of it's true and just the last part is a lie, we're just not sophisticated as psychics yet to determine. Now I can determine it if I concentrate.
But that's a cult. I'm saying that's what cult masterminders they do. They like to feel the truth. They feel the truth. They got them, and they just wrap it in lies, and that's a cult mentality.
Right.
So
it's like they use the letter Q and like the whole number 17, and they try to use a lot of like old Kabbalah stuff, but they're using the wrong language. Like
Yep,
there
yeah.
is no Q in Latin,
I didn't even know that.
right?
Yeah.
So like if you look at the Unicodes you can look up the Latin language, it's not
Yep.
just words. Whole entire systems of life are based off these characters,
Yeah.
right? So like when you look up like Neptune,
Theater.
right? Like it's psi, PSI, and that's where this whole like with the psychics now, like the psi,
Yeah.
right? That they're all remote viewing and stuff. That's all part of that glyph.
Mm.
And that's all the Unicode that deals with it. So the Q thing is also misleading people in how to do it off the wrong language.
Right. Right.
Then it's even weirder that the British intelligence is Q.
No, were they?
And then,
No.
and see, you can look it up. Type in like CNN,
But
like
the Brits-
CIA Q. There's always been a CIA Q department.
The Brits have always tried to outsmart the world. That's always been their war thing. Always. They've always tried
Right.
to outsmart the world, trick the world.
And it's an astrologer who started it, John Dee, who was Agent 007. That's what his secret code was to Queen Elizabeth.
Yep.
Back in the 1500s.
James
So
Bond was based on a lot of truth. Yeah.
like
I've always been a person who pays attention to the people who are not allowed to talk. Virtually anyone who talked about Q on the internet was completely blacklisted during that era, off of YouTube, off of everything.
But do you
All
think it was
social
just
media.
but if it was all
But
a
there's-
psyop, that would be what you do. You would create the intent. You would create that myth that you're gonna,
Yeah.
disappear in the
But there was
night
a-
if you
there was
use
a-
it.
But it doesn't. When you said Morgan, I'm like, yeah, there were a lot, but there was a lot that we're talking about Q that were still on, and like that was
Right.
always coming up to me. So I'm like, why are these getting banned and shadow banned, but these specific
Yeah.
ones are still running rampage and talking about the Q
yeah, they
thing?
really
and
did the whole ramp up in 2020 during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, totally.
Right.
Yeah,
And
well,
then
I think it's the
you know,
same.
whole
It's
Q shaman, remember? And that he's
Well,
the
it
plant.
was perfect because, look, we all can agree that COVID was some sort of planned thing, and I
Guaranteed.
think the human population was like, something's fishy about this, and so if you put in an answer to why it's fishy, you're gonna win that. You're gonna win that vote. Because
it's a
we wanna
pandemic,
blame
but
something.
it was. Yeah, it's a pandemic, but it's also real too. So somebody because it's pandemic that it didn't exist at all. I'm like, no, COVID is real. I had it 3 times, but it's also pandemic. It was
something
manufactured.
The
It
symptoms
manufactured.
existed. Yes,
It
I mean, I
fucked
think
people's
this- I don't even know if
breathings. Christopher, like when if you think of like the whole like I can't breathe shit with George Floyd and all these other things, like the themes I can't breathe
Oh,
and
that
COVID
was
affected
so weird.
breathing. Like it was
George Floyd
very,
was-
very parallel of the narratives of I can't breathe and COVID affected breathing, and you know what I mean?
Well,
I
then
know, I know.
George Floyd ate all of his fentanyl, right?
Yeah, but
And
what was the
that's-
phrase?
That's how he.
David?
That's how he died. But what I'm saying is, then the whole fentanyl deaths began the spike in 2020, and then how it's like hundreds of thousands, a million people died in America over that 3 years on fentanyl.
That's weird,
Yeah.
and that's the other thing too. We'll just say it. CIA has been known to be the ones bringing the drugs into our country.
Right,
Oh,
and
just
then they,
saying.
actually, they
And so
were. And
how
then
did
they
how
stopped
does our drug
heroin,
supply get
and they
fentanyl
used
all of a sudden?
the 2003 Iraq War all the way into the 2010s to go get all the poppy to make the OxyContin.
Yes, yes.
Then they pulled it from the shelves from people. Then
Yes.
they gave them heroin. Then they gave them fentanyl, and there was no heroin to be found.
No.
Now
Then they give them
pulled
OxyContin.
Right. Right.
They make it a legit. They take the crop and they make it a legit pain
Right.
medicine, and the whole country gets addicted to that pain medicine.
Right.
So it was
If you
not
think
just
about
that,
it, like the Bushes, like especially with Dick Cheney, like that whole operation was insane. What they pulled off for themselves and their buddies and all
Yes.
the stuff we see now.
But I'm just like to
Yeah.
go back. I was saying that the whole narrative is like I can't breathe. I just think they infiltrate
can't
things.
breathe.
Right. No. It's
They
so.
keep saying it. I can't
That was
breathe.
cute.
I'm
Oh
chanting it.
yeah, it's such bad Hollywood writing. You're right. It's bad
But I'm
Hollywood
just
writing.
saying-
It's just so yeah.
But
Is
that in
anybody paying
conjunction-
attention?
What, to what?
But that in conjunction
No.
with COVID, it's like it was all about
Yeah.
the breathing shit.
Back
You know,
then,
and so-
it was
yeah.
right
Oh, yeah,
before
yeah.
they put masks on everybody.
Yeah, but it was also you were supposed to quarantine, right? Nobody, if you were smart, you didn't.
I think they were
But-
trying to.
but
I think they were
if
trying to
you went
hypnotize
out
us
for
into-
George
into
Floyd
this.
in America. It didn't matter.
It was partly to hypnotize us, like to put us in this spell that we believe we're going to die. Like I said, you had nothing but commercials that you're going to die of something from drug commercials for years, being talked into us being sick, right?
But
take
what
this
better
medicine.
way, culture, what better way than to hypnotize us into creating that for ourselves by chanting,
Correct.
I can't read these
Yeah.
protests. Like,
Correct.
just get it in people's consonsciousness. It becomes a mantra, you know? and
Because
I
they
just-
know that what
Yeah.
people believe becomes reality. And if you can hijack their beliefs, is what religion is. If you hijack beliefs, you can hijack the world. If they all believe in the same thing, then they're all going to be turning into puppets that manifest what you want them to manifest.
That was
That's really just
disgusting.
how it works. Yeah.
Right. So I
It was
think
disgusting.
what we've seen in Iran is a puppet, and they haven't. All they say is that his son has taken over as the Ayatollah, but that he's in bed and then he's incapacitated. That we're about to see a puppet there again,
We're
right?
all
Now with this whole Netanyahu thing and all of his AI stuff, like he's a puppet. Trump's a puppet. Like it's not
Trump's
the
a
same
puppet.
Trump.
I don't see Trump as a puppet. I don't see Netanyahu's. Do you think Netanyahu? I think he's a very careful man because he's complicated. He's
I
like
mean,
he's doing business with the mob. He's doing business with all the bad people, and I think he's like walking a fine line. But I get the feeling that Netanyahu is Netanyahu. I just don't. I don't feel like
I agree with you with Netanyahu, but Trump is definitely a puppet for the Israeli government.
I don't
I've always
see-
felt that.
who can control Trump? No, we can't. No one can. I don't believe he's
This
a puppet.
guy-
You can't control this puppet.
This
Well-
guy, I mean,
Control
come
him.
on,
You just can't
there's-
be in the room. That's
he's
all I'm
in,
saying.
If you look
he's
like
in-
his
he's
daughter-
influenced.
What?
He's influenced.
If you look
Trump
like
is
his
heavily
daughter,
influenced.
He might be
What?
influenced. Well, he might be
I'm
pressured.
saying that with Trump, it's like the whole idea of the Epstein files and the whole like, hey, like honeypot thing. He's the poster boy for that.
Who is Trump?
Look, the reason why
Yeah.
Christopher, I was saying that about Trump, right, is because look at all they had there fluffing with all these fake awards, right? Just do all this, we'll put you on, make you the best president ever, and so that's why I feel like he's heavily influenced and a puppet. Otherwise, you have to keep appeasing with this stupid award. Create this, what is that, America First award they just created for him to make him feel good?
And
Yeah,
my
I mean,
argument is
or these
I'm
are
not.
the
I'm not putting
president-
Trump on a. Yeah, I'm putting on a pedestal of being this great leader. I'm just saying he just seems like he's impossible to manage. Like I just don't.
But
see
that's how they're. But my point is that's how they're managing him. They're feeding his ego, so he'd be the bad guy, the
Yeah.
front man for all this agenda,
Could
right?
be.
And
Could
so he's getting what he wants out of the process. So that's why I feel like they're managing him, how they're influencing him. You know.
Well,
get that feeling
and,
about
and
him.
he's got a lot of cancer in his chart, even though he's a Uranian guy, and his daughter married Jared Kushner.
That's fishy.
Right. If you think about the threats to him, it would be his family, right? And
That's
so
true.
if you think about it, it's like you can keep your life, and the way that they rigged the election to make sure that he would lose, so his ego would be so pissed, even though he knew he won. That was intentional to then get him to have to sign away, like, we'll make you president again. You can keep your life down here in Florida and keep your Mar-a-Lago and do what you want to the White House, but you have to do this Iran war. You have to do this and
Yes,
that's
yes,
the way in, and you can keep your
Yeah.
money with all the banks.
You're right.
that-
You're right. Yeah, I don't believe for a minute the war is his stuff. I don't think he had.
Correct, but I'm just saying that he sold out.
Yes, I agree. So David, yeah, exactly. Scott, David just proved it right. He is a puppet there. He is with the war. And the
I'm
military,
telling you.
he is. But I'll tell you, Kennedy's. They talk about it in their diaries and things like that. You know, the military disobeyed orders many times. that Kennedy had. The military thinks it
Well,
runs
that I think the biggest thing that I think will uncover more than aliens is the secret parts of our government that operate.
Yes.
That is military based, that is got alien technology, and that does
Right.
not work for the good. And that's
and
what
the
the
Q-
deep
That's
state
right.
really is.
And the Q really
Yeah,
brought to
exactly.
light. Actually, Q brought that to light. Like, oh, what? There's this what? You know, there's these people that stay all the time, and they're going to decide who has the football briefcase or whatever. That was the whole thing. That you know, that,
Right.
that Biden never got the football briefcase or whatever, which is a good thing.
Right.
You know, he would have molested.
I
It,
feel,
probably.
I feel like I feel deep state, the true deep state, like you're
He would've
saying, is
fallen
like
on
kind
his
of
bike with it.
antagonizing. I think they're just antagonizing, saying like, yeah, come find us out. They want us to try to catch them. I feel like it's gotten to that point because I feel teased by them, right? I
think
feel like they're dangling.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Go
I
ahead.
agree with you. I think their ego wants to a little pop. They're tired of being secret.
Yeah.
It's like they put themselves in the movies. They put themselves in these things because they're tired of being secret. They're so tired of being secret. They want to tell everyone they have the power, and they can't help with their hubris, but to do it, say it. Yeah.
I think the problem with Trump, based off his astrology, is a Gemini with a North Node Gemini in the 10th with Uranus and being
Conjunct
born on a
Uranus.
lunar eclipse in Sag with a South
And-
Node in Sag is truth. And so, what is not true, Uranus and Gemini with Pluto is going to bring out with him.
He's got a 29 degree. We talked 29 degrees at the beginning of the show. He's got a 29 degree
We
Leo
did.
rising.
Right. Yeah. And Uranus is squaring it right now.
I mean, 29 can go off the edge. We talk about that. 29 can go off the edge. They can go overboard, and boy.
And he's got Regulus conjunct
Yes.
it as well, and that's the great fall. Like that's always a guaranteed. If you're not on the right side of spirituality and doing the lion's true heart, you will have a great fall.
But I
Sure.
will still to the day I die argue that he is a spiritual actor that played the role for heaven.
And that's why he always says
Well,
central
that's what I said.
casting.
I think
Yeah,
he's
he's a
heaven sent him
disruptor.
down. He was
I mean,
cast
the
by
fact
heaven to
that
earth.
Pete
He usually plays
Hegseth
idiot.
is the Secretary of War, right? Like going back to that, right? With his fucking tattoos of like, let's go back to the holy wars and be fucking on the old quest and shit. Like that's
But it makes sense that we would close the Age of Pisces with the Holy Wars again, right? Like it seems like
that's what I think's happening. Is I actually think Trump's playing Netanyahu in the end.
I do too, actually. I think he plays an idiot
because the Christians want that, the Muslims want that. I think the Christians and the Muslims are working together more. Actually, that's what the message from Iran was yesterday, was that the Christians and the Muslims need to get out of this Zionist cabal.
Yes.
And all they actually said that in their
Yes.
fucking thing publicly.
Yes,
But the news won't read it out loud.
Yeah, what is news anyway? Propaganda. We don't have anything.
All right, guys. With that said, it's
That was a
time for
good
me to
light,
go
nice
out.
little, yeah, that little
Yep,
perfect.
that was a great show though.
Next week,
I'm
folks.
really-
Next week you'll have to buy tickets to see backstage because we've got everything setting up. We'll talk about it. when we get back.
Hey,
ours will be in Aries, so it'll happen.
Yeah.
I want to say that we've had a solid over 400 people staying through this entire after show.
That's
so
great. Thanks. Awesome.
400 bots,
guys.
watching us.
They're
400
not
bots,
well.
400 AI
They're,
agents taking down
they're-
everyone.
we'll call them independent thinkers. I like
Okay.
it.
Oh, interesting. Independent thinkers. IT.
I think that it would be good, you guys, in the backstage, to have a little bit of engagement with all these people who are just
Yes.
flooding the comments constantly. It's
Well, let me
it's
tell
a
you
lot
guys,
of fun.
we're built an environment for it. So if you get a backstage pass, you'll have actually a community that's behind the firewall. You have an identity, and actually, you have places where you can chat, different topics. People can give their opinions. It's not going to just be backstage as far as watch a show and go. It's, hey, we're all people that are thinking like this, and if you want to hang around and talk about it, do. Hopefully, people will meet each other that believe in the same things. I mean, I think the future is going to be private communities, and this will be one of them. The LOL.
Nice little button on that. Nice little stamp of that there. I agree. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, you guys, keep it
Hello,
real.
tribe.
All right.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for staying on.
Night. Adios.
Got it. Keep it real. See you next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
Peace
Good
out.
job, guys. That was excellent.